how well this works. We're trying out Streamyard for the first time. Okay, I don't know if Hearts is still here, but she acknowledged that she got the notification. So hopefully she'll be here soon, as well as others. So we will wait a few minutes. I have no idea if I'm live. If there's anybody who sees me, could you please let me know if you hear me or see me, or if there are any issues? Okay. Okay, hang on. Okay. Ah, yes. Hi, Hearts. Okay, do you see and hear me clearly? Okay. Anyways, I see there are 3 people watching. Welcome to Straight Talkin' Fedora Chicks live stream hat chat for tonight. I'm trying out Streamyard for the first time, which is a broadcasting application that goes with YouTube and Facebook, as well as LinkedIn and a few others. And it's supposed to replace the Hangouts on Air, although it is not affiliated with Google. But Hangouts on Air, as we know. Oh, it's dark? Okay. Hang on. Let me try to move the lights around, okay? Okay. Hi, Supernova. Thank you. Thank you very much, Supernova. I appreciate it. Let me know if you feel. Okay. Yeah, I have to buy new lamps for this living room. It's naturally this dark. It's naturally this dark in here. Yeah, as you can see, we're trying out Streamyard for the first time. Wow. We're also going to try out, if Sheldon comes into the chat soon, we're going to try and add him into this. We're going to try and add him to see how well a collab will work. A collaborative broadcast will work. If Sheldon comes in, he knows I'm going live. Or at least I told him earlier. So if he comes in, we're going to try and get him on with it. We're going to try and get him on with me to see how well this works. You see, me learning new software is always an issue. It's always an issue learning new software, right? So, yes, I'm too old. I'm too old to be hip, as they say, you know. I'm too old to be hip. But, so I see so far it's working. I know, it is hard, yeah. Yeah, I have to buy new lamps for this living room. Like I have two of those photography umbrella lamps, you know, with the umbrellas, and they're on either side of me. And I have a desk lamp like in front of me behind the computer. I sort of moved it towards my face, but it's also kind of blinding if I put it directly into my eyes, you know. Yeah, I'm trying. I also downloaded OBS. I found okay, there is OBS for Mac. And I download it, and I took a look at the interface, and it's like, okay, I have OBS now. Now, what do I do? How does it work? OBS works with Streamlabs. It's the same thing, pretty much. If I can ever get OBS to work, I will have a Streamlabs link. So if anybody would have preferred to support the channel through Streamlabs, that'll come at a later time once I figure out how everything works. Right now, I'm trying to look for some instruction manual that my dyslexic brain can understand. You know, something like OBS or OBS Streamlabs for Dummies. That's what's required in my world, you know. Let me see. I'm going to text Sheldon. Hang on. I'm going to text Sheldon. Let's see. Sheldon. I'm going to text him. Okay, hang on. It'll take a second. Okay. Oh. I'm live now. Go to my channel. Go to my channel. Okay, there. I just texted him. Let's see. Yeah, I told him earlier. Oh, thank you, Hearts, for putting up the PayPal link. Yeah, for right now, there is a PayPal link in the description. Hearts put it just now in the live chat. If anybody wishes to support the channel, that would be awesome. But don't feel, by all means, don't feel pressured. It is my pleasure to come on live and talk with my viewers and my subscribers. It's always a lot of fun. We have a live chat. We have always have a lively discussion around here, usually. Do some fun things. I mean, what have we done so far here? We've done DIY beauty tips and makeup and made fun of beauty gurus. We've all together played the game of writing and composing and generating some very bad poetry, so bad that it's genius. We have a great time here, you know. I got a couple of new subscribers this week, so if they are watching, which I doubt right now because you missed a few things, Supernova. What are you missing? Can you hear me okay, Supernova? Do you hear me? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I got a couple of new subs. This channel has been moving very, very slowly, you know, up the ranks. I've existed for over a year. When I first started, I started out as Fedora Hippies, and it was supposed to be done with a girlfriend. Girlfriend of mine and I were supposed to do this channel together, and we called ourselves Fedora Hippies. But my girlfriend, she had backed out because she was pursuing other projects at that time. She's pursuing a stand-up comedy career. And then I decided to try to, a year later, in 2018, I decided to try and go it on my own, uploaded a few videos, and then I had like serious dental issues, which got me off video for a while. I mean, some of the later videos in the spring of 2018, you would see like my teeth were like in horrible, horrible shape. I looked like a freaking jack-o'-lantern. So I think the OITMB, a few videos of yours to watch. Oh yeah, I leave up all the I leave up all the old live streams, Supernova. I leave them all up at my channel, so you're free to peruse them anytime you like, really. You know, I always leave them up, and I've noticed there are people who do come and watch the streams after the fact, although as a rule, YouTube with live streams as opposed to uploads, the algorithm tends to favor them differently. I think if I'm not mistaken, the YouTube algorithm stops recommending a live stream after 24 hours, as opposed to uploads. They can be continuously recommended by the algorithm. So that's why, I mean, yesterday I went on live. I would have preferred to have uploaded. It was yesterday or the day before? The day before yesterday. Yeah, when the cops were at my home for no good reason. Somebody had called in and just, so I wanted to do a video about that. And and right now, that's why I downloaded OBS, because I was recording with the old defunct QuickTime, which is no longer working for me. I tried recording 4 times, but I noticed my reflection on the screen was jumping around all the time. So even if I were to edit, it wouldn't have worked. So I ended up just going live. So now I've got to figure out how OBS works so I can record. Oh, thank you, Hearts. Great. Thank you, Hearts. Yeah, Supernova. Yeah, please feel free to do so. So, so I ended up going live the day before yesterday about the cops coming to my house, to my apartment, waking me up, claiming a domestic disturbance. Yeah, me, myself, and I struggling to get out of bed. Yeah, when I'm not exactly firing at all cylinders. Yeah, I saw you left a comment there, Supernova. So thank you. Yeah, so that's what happened. Hearts, you might have missed that one. Hearts, you might have missed that one. Yeah, I still have no idea to this moment why they were here. how why it was called in, or how it was as quieter than a library here. Like I said, I was just waking up. I was still lying in bed when they were knocking at the door, right? So yeah, it is very weird. And I'm still kind of shaken up by that, you know? Wraith, hey, great to see you. Great to see you, Wraith. Long time. Welcome. So yeah, it is unsettling. It is unsettling. But I doubt I'm ever going to figure out the mystery to that one. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. And my landlord, my weird landlord, my janitor gave notice that he was leaving because he and his wife, I think they bought a house, so they're moving out, so they can no longer tend to this building. They can no longer be the supers. Yeah, I'm pretty much recovered from my injuries. My knees are better. The tailbone no longer is killing me. I'm still feeling like I'm in a permanent state of doing the splits, which is not very comfortable and around my groin area. But other than that, I'm recovering fine. Yeah, I'm recovering fine. Thanks for asking. So what was silly was, so what's silly is because my landlord, I don't know, he always walks around like a deer caught in the headlights type of thing. He's like, always looks like he's in a daze, you know, and English is not his first language, neither is French. And the poor man, he has a stutter when he talks to begin with. So when he's talking, and he likes to talk incessantly, we have to pretend to get rid of him. We have to pretend we understand what he's saying. Nobody understands what he's saying, even if he's talking French or English. No one understands what he's saying. But we pretend we're like, oh, yeah. Thanks, Wraith. It's like, oh, yeah. We get you, sir. We got you. So anyways, so our janitor is leaving. He gave notice. He bought himself a home. Congratulations. But he hasn't replaced the janitor yet. And the janitor mentioned, I think he's gone as of this weekend. So as of this weekend, we're not going to have a janitor for a while. That's going to be very interesting. Yeah, yeah, exactly, right. Exactly. It's the only thing you can do. It's the only thing you can do. You know, there are times my landlord, he looks so naive, and he, like, I really, like, deer caught in the headlights time. He looks so naive. I often wonder, is that it? Is this really his natural state? Is he really like that? Or is he just pretending to be like that? He's being covert, and he's actually some maniacal mastermind genius. You know, jury is still out on that one, you know. Oh, I wish Sheldon were in the live chat, because he lived here with me, you know, for, of course, up until 3 years ago. Maybe Sheldon might have a response if he were to come on. You know, I hope he comes. I hope Sheldon comes. But yeah, so we're trying to decide, is this all an act, or is he really like that? From what I heard, he bought this building without having it inspected first. Yeah, like 10 years ago, because he took over this building around the same time Sheldon and I moved in here, or around 9 years ago, was it? Yeah, 9 years ago, close to 10 years ago. And that's when he took ownership, and around the same time. But we heard that he took ownership of this building without having it inspected first. Like, who does that, right? No, I understand that, right? There are people that are that naive, and I've met them. I think we've all met them. But with this particular case of violence, I'm not so sure that this is really him, or is it all an act, you know? I'm really not sure. Jury's still out, like I said. I hope Sheldon comes on. Maybe he has an idea. I don't know. So all I know is that as of this weekend, we're going to have no janitor. So that's going to make things pretty interesting around here. Oh, boy. Yeah, supernova, I haven't ruled that possibility out at all. I have not ruled out that possibility. I have no idea if it's a game. I have no idea. All I know is it's going to get pretty interesting when there's no janitor around here yet, because he hasn't hired one. Like, ordinarily, I don't know, he probably should have hired a replacement for the current one that's leaving. Probably should have hired him a while back, so the current one could have at least showed him the ropes and all that stuff and explain how things go in this very old, decrepit building. Know what I'm saying? So, yeah. So so I have no idea. I have no idea. So it's a crapshoot. So we'll have to wait and see. But anyways, like I said, let's see. Did he answer me back? There we go. Did he answer me back? No, not yet. What happened to you, Sheldon? Okay. So that's out. And like I said, I don't know if anybody here, as I mentioned, yeah, I turned on OBS, looked at the interface and got intimidated. Really intimidated. It's like, okay, now what? As I mentioned, I'm not tech savvy. What do I do? And I'm looking for something like a real for dummies for my dyslexic mind. OBS for dummies. Some act that way, like that way to get more away with more things. Seem dumb, so they feel bad and they get away with things. Yeah, I agree with you, Supernova. Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. Because we've seen people like that before in the past, right? So, yeah, I absolutely agree with you. So back to what I was saying about OBS. Yeah, I would really love to figure out how it works. Because apparently I have to install some kind of encoder. And it's funny, I should know more about encoders considering I used to DJ. I used to DJ 2 live stream radio shows. I had a blues show and I had an oldie show. And I should know more about encoders, but I really don't. It's like I had to have people help me. So wish me luck in figuring out OBS, because if I could get OBS to work and get Streamlabs to work, that would be pretty awesome. Because that way, at least if somebody, let's say, wanted to support the channel and they donate through Streamlabs, they can get a shout out, whereas with the PayPal, you only figure it out later, But not for that. It's just for other things too, because you can hook up a Twitch account to Streamlabs as well. You can hook up, I don't have a Twitch account, but the way YouTube is going these days, I might entertain trying live streaming, attempting to live stream from Twitch. I don't know. We'll see. That remains to be seen. Oh yeah, some news. I got some other news. Talk about a mess of a social media thing, Instagram and all that. You see, when I posted my review last week, it was a review of the Amazon Prime movie Fat-Topia. And I didn't give it a nice review. If anybody saw it and they know, I didn't give it a nice review for a number of reasons. I will have the link to that video in a pinned comment later on when I get off this stream. But anyways, I had posted the link to my YouTube video on Instagram with the thumbnail. And the thumbnail is basically a copy of the picture with the thing, only I added the text. I watched it so you don't have to. And I got a like from the filmmaker. Okay. And then yesterday, what was it? I was gone all day. I didn't have my social media on. I was busy with something. And I had to turn my phone off. And I had to, it required, I was completely incognito. And then I had found notifications from Twitter from the filmmaker saying that he wanted to debate me. And that he tried to reach out to me on Instagram. But I didn't see any DMs on Instagram. That's the thing. I did not see any. And I checked it at the time I had seen the messages on Twitter. And then I gave him the suggestion to debate, to message me on Twitter, right? Give me a DM on Twitter instead of Instagram, because I really didn't get any of his messages. Lo and behold, this morning, I saw a message request on Instagram. I'd never seen that before. It's weird. Somebody's asking permission for me to receive a message on Instagram. I mean, Instagram is pretty complicated under the best of times for me. Yeah, Instagram is pretty complicated. So anyways, I only got a notification that that the filmmaker indeed sent a message. He was asking me if I wanted to participate in a podcast with him. And to which I said, I might be interested. What are the terms? When would it be? Please note that there is a 5-hour time difference between here and the UK. And I left him my email address, I left him my email address. Please get in touch with me through email. To this day, hold on. Yeah, to this moment, I even checked my spam folder. I'm going to check it again right now. I didn't get anything from them, in the email. So I don't know. Maybe the podcast happened yesterday. I don't know. I really don't know if the podcast happened yesterday or the day before. I really don't know. The fact of the matter is nobody got back to me. And was it a glitch on Instagram that I didn't get their messages, or they only gave it, or they only sent it like this morning, or I would have gotten it in my time zone this morning? I don't know, but I'm not counting on hearing from them. But isn't that the strangest thing, right? They make it difficult. They made it difficult for me and I made it super easy, Originally, I had called for a debate with Alan Roberts of Every Damn Day Fitness, right? Yeah, I had called for a debate with Alan Roberts of Every Damn Day Fitness. I had never heard from him, and I never got a message request from him on Instagram or on Twitter or anywhere, right? No smoke signal, no homing pigeon, nothing. But either way, I'm ready to debate either one of them, either Alan Roberts or the filmmaker. But like I said, I'm not counting on anything, really. I'm really not counting on anything. But the next time somebody says publicly that no one dared to debate either one of them live or publicly, I have the receipts now, the videos I did, the tweets, everything. I have it all to prove, like, yeah, I tried to answer to your call of action. You didn't really do a great job of trying to communicate with me. No telegram supernova, no smoke signals, no homing pigeons, no telegraph machine, no nothing, not a know-how. Oh. Anyways, like I said, I'm not counting on much. I don't really want to do another video on that subject because most of my subscribers, because frankly, those videos don't really get that many views. And I think most of you who are subscribed to me don't really come for that kind of content. They come more for like my, if I do something, like if I react to a problematic YouTuber or some of my story times, depending on which one of my story times. Yeah, they do need to be better at communicating, I mean, Instagram, under the best of terms, is a tricky animal. And I still don't know how to use all the features. I mean, it took me a few months to figure out there was actually an IGTV feed, to upload longer videos. It took me a while to figure that out. The DMs, you can't get it off the computer. You look at Instagram on the computer, you can't get a DM off your computer. It's not going to notify you that you have a DM or a message request or anything like that. So I got to check my phone for that, right? I got to go through my cell phone. I got to, and lo and behold, I had no idea that people did message requests. I thought people simply sent a message through, but I only got the notification of a message request this morning. And like I said, I answered them. I don't have any answer to date. Like I said, maybe the podcast already happened. I don't know. I really couldn't tell you. So, autumn is coming, and that would be, it would have been great exposure, wouldn't it, Hearts? And here's the thing also you got to keep under mind, and I think people like Alan Roberts, who like have he has a big channel. He has a massive channel. Something like 170,000 subscribers or something along those lines. I'd have to check. I don't know. But his channel is huge. And as far as I can tell, TJ Films, who made Fat-Topia, they do not have, yeah, they do not have a YouTube channel as far as I can tell. So I'm really not sure, but it's something like these larger channels never want to give a step up, you know, to smaller channels. Anybody ever notice that? You know? Anybody ever notice that? They don't want to give a hand to smaller channels, you know, like nothing like that. But you know what? It shouldn't matter how big my channel is or small, or how big or small any of my social media platforms are. It really shouldn't matter. The fact is, you want a debate, you want a nice public debate, shouldn't matter. You got yourself a sparring part. You as long as you get a sparring partner. The only thing is, I would tend to argue intellectually, and sometimes that doesn't always work with an audience, but hey, one can always try, right? One can always try. So like I said, I'll keep you tuned. What else is coming up? I'm working on a video about dental and mental health, and how they're intertwined. It's already given that dental health and physical, like the rest of your physical health, are heavily intertwined, which is why I think dental care should be universally covered. But it's also, yeah, thanks. Yeah, and it shouldn't matter if it's a collab hearts. It really shouldn't. You know, it's a debate. So, yeah, nothing wrong in trying at all. But yeah, back to what I was saying. So, but I'm also going to talk about how dental and mental health are affected. I'm going to have some statistics and stuff, and I'm going to link to some articles. So some more factual stuff. But I'm going to talk about my own experience since losing the remainder of my upper teeth last year. Because that has affected me emotionally, and it still affects me emotionally to this day. So I'm planning to do a video about that, how dental health and mental health. You know, I even found a dental mental health, and when I was doing searches on YouTube looking for keywords, you know, for this video that I plan to do. Did you know that there is a channel on YouTube called Mental Dental? Yeah, there is really a YouTube channel called Mental Dental. I don't know how big they are. I did not check how many subs they have. I did not check how many videos they have. So I really have no idea how big or small they are. But I thought, oh, wow, that is weird. So I made so looking for a title for that video. I would like to, you know, change the scenery, the venue of filming my videos. I mean, I can't do a live stream elsewhere because if you don't have 1,000 subs, you cannot live stream from your phone. You have to have 1,000 subs or up to live stream from your phone. So I'm stuck with my computer here, or I'd have to go somewhere else that has a computer. But if I were to do a pre-recorded video upload, you know, it might be nice to go outside and I can do it with my phone. And I may be doing that very soon until I figure out a solution on how I can record videos on my computer. Maybe recording on my phone. The only problem is I've been looking for a halfway decent microphone without breaking the bank, and I've been pretty broke lately. Hey, Spirit in the Sky. Good to see you. Good to see you. Thank you and welcome. Cool. So yeah, I may be stuck recording with my phone, but since I don't have a mic, the sound may be a bit off. And yeah, I thought, and I'm gonna have to record far away from this neighborhood because my neighborhood is under construction as well. See, they demolished half the shopping center just in front of me, like just a block away, and they're rebuilding condos. Yeah, they're rebuilding condos here. Good grief. I'm going to turn the AC on because it's really, really hot in here with my lamps. And Yeah, it's really, really hot in here to the point where I am. Whoa. Okay. Sorry for the noise. Oh. Yeah, I hope you're all doing well today, and thank you again for joining us. Thank you again for joining us. Sorry for the noise of the AC. I was just getting really too hot in here with the lamps, to the point where I was not feeling particularly great. So I need to cool this place off. Yeah. So I'm gonna have to go far away from here and start recording videos. And who knows, maybe a change of backdrop or scenery, it might rise my my viewing retention statistics according to my analytics. Who knows? I mean, I moved the hats on the couch for fun, as part because not an exciting backdrop here. It's not an exciting backdrop here. So, anyways, moving right along. What else is coming up down the line? My birthday is at the end of the month. Yeah, my birthday is at the end of the month. Yay. And I am so not looking forward to it, which leads me to my next topic, as I said, autumn blues. Autumn blues. And I always think about that Justin Hayward song from 1978 when Justin Hayward decided to go solo and break away from the Moody Blues. The song called Forever Autumn. Beautiful song. Love it. Beautiful song. And it's a sad song too, but I always think about it when autumn comes along, And I'm sure there are copies of it on YouTube. But, I mean, ordinarily I like autumn because it's not too hot, or at least it's not supposed to be. And I don't really like the hot weather of summer. But by the same token, the flip side is, how many of you here in the chat, because in the fall, a lot of us, we have to turn the clocks back an hour and it gets dark earlier. How many of you have a difficult time dealing with that in the chat? You can let me, just show a thumbs up. Show a thumbs up if you want. Whoever has a hard time with that. And maybe I can do a more detailed upload about that. Yeah, you too, hearts? Yeah, me. I thought about buying what they call a sad lamp. Messes up your body schedule. Yeah, mine too. It messes it up. It's funny. I'm usually a night owl and I'm up all night, but still, the fact that it gets dark earlier, like already now, you notice it's dark by 7:30. It's dark by 7:30, and it's like, oh no. It's a reminder. And then before you know it, Christmas comes, which I also hate. The only thing I think I like best about fall was Halloween. Yeah, Halloween. And I used to make some doozer of costumes, I used to make some doozy costumes. Won a $200 prize once. I think it was the only time I ever won anything. But other than that, it's, I don't know. And then, once we turn the clocks back in early November, it's like, oh God, this is going to be a long 4 months or so until April. November, December, January, February, March, April. No, it's in March. 5 months. Yeah, 5 months were like that with the clock turned back. Thank you, hearts. Thank you. Spirit, you too? You have a difficult time with the changing of the clock, huh? Have any of you ever tried those lamps? There's those lamps, I think, for seasonal affective disorder. Yeah, it's actually, there's a name for it. Has anybody ever owned one or tried out a lamp for seasonal affective disorder, aka a sad lamp? Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Is it worth the money? I know they're pretty expensive. Are they worth the money? Let me know what you think. Yeah, let me know what you think. Oh. Oh, dear. Oh dear. Yeah, it gets dark at 5 p.m. Yeah, that's especially depressing. I remember when I used to work, and more often than not, I would finish work at about 4 or 5 p.m., depending on what job I was working at, right? And, and it's funny, you leave home the wintertime. It's not only because it's cold and you got to brave the elements. You take public transit because you don't drive to go to work. But you wake up, you have your coffee, you get out of the house to go to work. It's dark. You arrive at the office. It's sort of like dawn-ish, Latest day is starting to come, outside. You do your day. Yes, you go outside and have a smoke break or go pick up a snack or lunch. But, it's not that much, and it's cold, so you don't really appreciate the sunlight as much because it's cold and stuff like that, right? And then finally, at the end of the day, when you clock out, like either at 4 or 5 o'clock, it's like, oh, it's dark again. It's like, where did the day go by? It's dark again. And it's like, you never experienced any daylight. Like I said, I am a night owl, but even I experience that kind of thing. Somebody asked me, how can you? You're up all night anyway. It shouldn't make a difference to you. But oddly, yeah, it does make a difference to me. There, and the rest of the time, the sun is blocked out by chemtrails. Not much sun here anymore. Yeah. Where are you? If you don't mind, if you just don't mind saying, where are you from, Spirit? If you don't mind, you don't have to say if you don't want to. We're just asking. But yeah, we don't see the sun as much. No, granted. But so I might do a more detailed video about seasonal affective disorder. So that could be a possibility too. If you all want to see that, let me know. You're in Michigan? Okay, you're in the USA. Yeah. Okay, I figured you were all American here. Yeah, I've noticed, for a Canadian YouTuber, according to my analytics, most of my viewers are in the United States. Most of my loyal, most of the regulars to the Hearts and Supernova and Wraith Phoenix are Americans. So I think that's pretty cool, Canadians are not cool. No, that's not true. That's not true. Only some are not cool. Montrealers are not cool. Thank you, Hearts. Thank you. So far the Streamyard is holding. Would have been nice to have Sheldon come and try it out with me as a collab, but he's not here. And I don't want to make a phone call live on camera because that might... I don't want to make a phone call live on camera. I thought he would be here to this fine evening. So, anyways, but who knows? Maybe somebody else will come on that might want to kind of jump on with me. There are 5 in the chat. Yeah, that's so super cool. You're all awesome. I'm glad you're all here. Mind you, yeah. So yeah, you're all awesome. It's great to have you here. And maybe later we can play, I don't know. What do you want to talk about? What do you all want to talk about? Do you, let me know here. Do you like autumn? Do you not like autumn? Are you sad at autumn? Do you feel more weighed down, a more weighed down feeling? Or do you find autumn as a renewal? Some people do find it as a renewal. Let me know in the chat what you think about that. And it looks like I'm going to be planning. My birthday, like I said, is on September 29th. I am a very unbalanced Libra. Libra is supposed to be all about balance and stuff, right? And I'm a very unbalanced Libra. But yeah, I'm thinking about having a special birthday live stream. And that might be a marathon of a live stream. You like cold, but sometimes it makes you feel sad. Yeah, the holidays especially, as the holidays loom closer, you see people and they're out, It's like happy, happy, joy, joy they're looking for. But at the same time, you see the stressors, you know, because they got to figure, let's spend money we don't have for instant good time, because it's practically against the law to not enjoy Christmas, you know. And people tend to forget there are people who are left out at Christmas, people who have nothing to eat, who don't even have shelter, or even those who might have food and shelter, but they're alone, like literally alone in the world. Kind of makes them feel more isolated. You know, I know it's like that with me. So it's kind of like a dreading, you know, and it's the same thing with my birthday, same thing with, you know, it's dreading it all, right? No, right now, I don't think I'm doing much of anything for my birthday this year, except that's why I'm thinking about doing a marathon live stream, kind of a virtual birthday party, a virtual online birthday party, you know? But, and maybe, yes, we have a 6-person, hey. So yeah, maybe a live virtual birthday party, that would be cool. That might be cool. We can do more DIY stuff. I've still got that clay and it still hasn't dried out, you know. It still hasn't dried out. Yeah, I hate the blossom. Sheldon! You've been fighting what you've been fighting what all day? Oh, I'm sorry to hear, Shell. I hope you're better now. I hope you're feeling better now. You'll come supernova. That's fantastic. Sheldon, I'm going to send you a link. I want to try out the collab. Sheldon, I want to try out the collab. If I send you the link, you want to click on it and we're going to try and get you on screen. Are you okay with that? We did talk about this. Do you want to come on? Do you want to come on screen with me? If I send you the link? Because I'm trying out Streamyard for the first time and I want to see how it works. Yeah? Okay. So I'm going to send you the link. All right, hang on. Now, how does this work? Invite. Okay, share the guest link. Copy to clipboard. Okay, how does this work? Copy to clipboard. Copied. Okay. Okay, Shell, I'm sending you the link in the chat. Try it out. Try it out, Shell. Okay, and let me know if you have an issue. Because if we can get Sheldon to talk to me, you don't have to listen to the one-act show, right? You can hear Sheldon's voice hear Sheldon's soothing voice for the first time for many of you. Okay? Sheldon, do you see it in the chat? Okay. Okay. Shell, do you see it in the chat? Okay. Let's see. Yeah, so yeah, back to what I was saying. So maybe, yeah, a live stream birthday party. Here we go. Sheldon, add 2 things. So maybe, yeah, a live stream birthday party. Hang on, here we go. Hang on, there's a delay. Hang on. Sheldon. Hang on. Maybe, yeah, hang on. Birthday party. Uh-oh, something's going wrong. Hang on, here we go. Hang on, Sheldon, turn off your YouTube. Sheldon, turn off your YouTube. Hang on, birthday party. Uh-oh, something's going wrong. Hang on, here we go. Hang on, Sheldon, turn off your YouTube. Sheldon, turn off your YouTube. Hang on, okay, can you hear me? Okay, can you hear me? Okay, Sheldon, we don't have a sound. Where's your mic? Okay, Sheldon, we don't have a sound. Where's your mic? Is your mic? Oh, crap. There's a 19-second delay. I know. Oh, crap. There's a 19-second delay. I know. What the heck? What am I hearing back? Okay, sorry. What am I hearing back?
Okay, let's see. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Your image is frozen, but I can hear you.
It looks like my image. I can see my image. It doesn't look like it's frozen here. Maybe on your, I don't know.
Okay, Shell. Okay, now I can see your face.
Okay, you can hear me. You can see me.
Yeah.
I don't break the camera.
Not yet.
All righty. Okay, that's good to know that I don't break the camera. Okay. You know what they say, technology is good only when it works, right?
Oh God, yeah, exactly.
Okay, so there you go. Okay.
Great. Looks like people in the live chat can hear and see you too. They can hear you because I'm sure they're tired of hearing my voice, so they should listen to you for a while.
Well, I don't want them to turn off the whole channel. I don't want to break the camera.
No, you won't. You see, Hearts likes you. So does Supernova.
Well, I don't actually see the chat, so from where I am, so I'm going to leave it all up to you, CK, in terms of.
No problem. It's no problem, Shell.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, there is a 19-second delay apparently between Streamyard and YouTube.
Is that must be in my mind?
What?
Because my mind was gone a long time ago with the delay.
Yeah. So it's like you come on and it's like, what is this noise? The echo and all that. It's like, oh yeah, forgot to kill the sound off YouTube,
Yeah. Okay. Well, now, you only find this out when, of course, you find this out, right? So.
Well, it's like radio. You were in the radio business for over 30 years, right?
Yeah. That's why I got the gray hairs and the bald spot to prove it, CK.
So, I remember, what was rule number 1 when you had to put a guest on with your host?
Oh, there were a lot of rules, number 1.
What?
There were a lot of rules, number 1.
Yeah, but there was one rule: kill the sound off the radio, or if there was a call.
Well, I would tell them to turn the radio off, because there was a delay, but I don't know how it works in YouTube in terms of the transmission. And this is a new software also. But it seems to be working now, though. You seem to be, Yeah,
exactly. Well, before you jumped on, I was talking about our landlord, who shall remain nameless.
Oh, the one that has the toupee that's marked "Made in North Korea." That one. Gotcha. Okay.
And
Who asked me to set him up with a girl?
Yeah, that's true.
So I just wanted to make people.
Tell that story, Shell. Tell them how our landlord. Don't give his name.
Okay, this is not Plenty of Fish. This is not Match.com. This is not the Facebook dating service. This is the landlord, who shall remain nameless, who has pictures in the apartment building where CK lives. That basically you would see this when you go into a funeral home. You would kind of see pictures, and then you're wondering, what is this man? Oh, what is this man really thinking? And then he pulls me over to the side, and I said to myself, I know I paid the rent on time when I was living with you. Yeah. And he asked me to fix him up, and I kind of gave this look of total astonishment to CK. And it almost made me lose half my hair, which almost prompted me to wear the same type of fedora that you're wearing presently right now. Yeah, it was not pretty. It really was not pretty. And this guy had a toupee that, I'm telling you, he just forgot to put it in the wrong direction. You know where it's marked, certain things are marked, like the compass, north, south, east, and west. This guy had it on east, okay? You knew right away. You knew right away, and I looked at him, and I'm going, how do I go on these websites and tell the potential women that might be interested in him to say in 2 words or 3 words, I'm sorry. How do I do that? I shouldn't make you laugh when you're drinking something. Okay.
No, I swallowed it. I'm good.
Okay. All right. So how do I say to the women out there saying, please don't go out with this guy. This guy can't even put on his toupee in the right direction. And then I see the label sticking out of the back part of the toupee. Made, I don't know, made in Bangladesh or made in one of those, one of those countries. And I'm wondering, and he wants me to set him up. And I just said to myself,
you remember he also had braces when we first moved to. He had a retainer. No, not braces. He had a retainer.
Yeah, he had a retainer. Yeah, and apparently I had to wear sunglasses because it reflected. It kept going in my eyes. So now I have sunglasses. I have glasses, prescription. I have the automated glasses as soon as the daylight hits it. it turns dark, you know. So
Yeah, that's right. You do. You have those sunglasses that go from
yeah, I know. And apparently also I've now instructed you to have extra Kleenex when I come to your place in case I see the landlord, because I'll probably wind up crying a lot.
Yes. And what do you think of the artwork? And, you know, 'cause I know when guests would come here, you know, the first thing they would be shaking their heads looking at the artwork.
Yeah.
That the landlord put up, you know, because he thought it would make the building look classy.
Oh, he made the building look, but not classy. It was very. I think he wanted to know why there was a decrease in tenants. Either some tenants basically just decided to cancel their lease and move out, and basically, I don't know what was more accommodating, the rodents or the paintings. No, I'm kidding about the rodents. You don't have rodents,
or at least not in the top floor.
No, I don't know if he has rodents inside that toupee. I don't know, but it was just a strange. And you know, one time he came into the building, and I think the wind took the toupee and it blew it like to the side.
Yeah.
So it blew it in across. You saw that one time, I think, when I came up, and he came up the stairs and he goes, toupee not good. Trying to straighten out. I don't know what's going on.
Well, that's what we have to do. You remember, because we don't understand what he's saying, whether he's speaking French or English. We don't understand what he's saying. So the trick is, and it was one of the neighbors that told me, the trick is you just nod and pretend to understand.
Yeah. Except one thing. When he asked me to fix him up with a woman, I kept going. You know, it could drive any person, no matter if it's a man or a woman, to drink. And yes, people that are in the United States that are listening or watching the video right now and scratching their heads by this whole thing, I kid you not, this guy is a cut above.
Oh, yeah. I was asking the question earlier that I asked you before in several of our conversations. So maybe you can talk and give your thoughts to our audience here. Mm-hmm. Is that whole deer in the headlights naive thing real, or is that all an act?
No, this is a man that when you say a deer in the headlights, that's too much of a compliment for him. He hasn't put on the light yet. He hasn't put on the switch yet. You know, the guy is probably as smart, I don't know, as an enema gone wrong.
Ooh.
And I kid you not. I mean, it's really not... You know, like he's a nice guy, but he's not the brightest tool in the shed. What is that you're holding up? I didn't see what you were holding up.
Well, you mentioned he was as bright as an enema.
Yeah.
So I held up the tube of Preparation H when I used
pretty much, yeah.
When I used it as primer in my DIY live stream, remember?
Yeah. The only problem was instead of him thinking that it was a paste for his toupee, he actually put that on his toupee to try to see if he can keep it on, but it was not a very pleasant sight, I can assure you.
Yeah, well, you know, I was just also saying, you know, because our janitor is leaving this weekend, you know, this week was his last week, he told me.
Yeah, the landlord reminds me of a Westinghouse light bulb that has gone seriously wrong.
Yeah, our janitor was great, though. He was great. He's going to be missed here.
I liked him. He used to joke around about the landlord all the time.
Yeah, he did. We're going to miss that. You know?
And as a matter of fact, I'll give you people a really good, accurate account of this guy. Okay.
All right.
Like I said, he's not the brightest tool in the shed. Okay, he's not the brightest light bulb on Westinghouse, or whatever the case is. But you know, here's a guy. I'm sure you could remember this story. Yeah. When the roof on your floor went, and I was sick. I was sick like a dog. You just came back, I think, from Toronto.
Yeah, to helping deal with my father.
Or either that, or you were going to Toronto. I forget if you were coming.
I came back because my father had passed away, and I had to go help my mother settle his final affairs.
And when you got home, I got sick, and I went to lie down, and you went to get to the pharmacy to get me some medication. Mm-hmm. And I was like sick, like I don't remember if it was pneumonia. I don't remember what the heck it was, but I obviously was really not feeling well.
You were out.
And you went to the pharmacy, and when you came back, I heard this loud pitching scream of yours, understandably so. When I found out when I got into the living room, it was basically like Niagara Falls.
Yeah, the ceiling had caved in when I got home from the pharmacy, and I was gone maybe a half hour, no more
Yeah.
than that, you know, because the pharmacy is like really nearby. It's just up the hill, right?
Right.
It's
And I
about a
was
5-minute walk.
sleeping, and you came back and you ushered me downstairs, and I could barely walk because I was
And I
like,
have to help you get dressed. I'm
Yeah.
putting like
yeah.
the bathrobe. We're going to put the coat on over the
So-
bathroom. I'm helping you down the stairs. And
So the thing was, the landlord happened to have been in Vietnam. Good timing, folks.
no, he was about to leave for Vietnam.
Or he was about to leave for Vietnam to see his mom.
Yeah.
And the janitor we tried to get in touch with the janitor, and he tried to get in touch with the landlord. And it was almost like a Band-Aid solution. The janitor, the poor guy, had to go on top of the roof, had to take a candle or some kind of a torch to melt the ice. And I remember, and it was slippery like anything because it was after a freezing rainstorm, and then it was like thawing and melting and thawing and melting and stuff. And he goes onto the roof. A poor guy. I felt so bad. And it's like Vin is like, the landlord said, "I'm going to Vietnam." So he goes to, it's like he takes off, and it's like, it's almost like a Band-Aid effect. I almost felt like saying to the janitor, the landlord wants you pick up some Band-Aids at your nearest pharmacy and start putting them on the roof.
That's pretty much how it works, you know?
Yeah, it was a Band-Aid solution because we had, I think it was a year or 2 years later, correct me if I'm wrong.
Mhm.
It wasn't the same magnitude of the leak, but it started leaking a little bit.
Yeah,
Now we were lucky with your computer, but the extension cord with the power bar got destroyed.
Fried.
But the computer thankfully was okay, and it was a Mac. You have a Mac, which was very expensive,
Mhm.
and it was a miracle that it literally missed the computer by literally inches. And I remember that, but it was like, I remember saying to the janitor, I said, the landlord basically just go and get Band-Aid shear strips from your local pharmacy and just put it onto the roof to alleviate the thing. But of course, the next year, the same, because he only fixed one problem on the roof. He didn't fix the entire roof. Heaven forbid.
Yeah,
You know?
Supernova just said Band-Aid roof. Yeah, you hit the nail right there, Supernova.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Band-Aid roof.
Yeah. So basically, it's your local Johnson and Johnson people, you know. And I'm not getting paid to do this commercial, but it's basically, you know, your Band-Aid cheer strips of, you know. He is stuck on Band-Aid, but Band-Aid apparently was stuck on him.
And here was the bad thing, because the flooding was so bad, and it was like it covered such a wide span of the living room. Like, I got all the buckets, but didn't cover. So I ended up getting the huge golf umbrella, put it upside down on the floor to catch the water. Yeah, you remember that big?
Yeah.
It was like a huge golf umbrella.
It's basically your episode of the Three Stooges gone wrong.
Yeah, it is basically.
Like, I mean, I don't know. I just never understood with this guy. I'm telling you, and then he wanted me to fix him up with a girl. Basically, I should have fixed him up with a plumber. Is what I should have done.
What?
I should have fixed him up with a plumber. I should have said, any women out there in the plumbing business? I'm telling you, it was really. Anyway, I don't want to bore your viewers anyway.
No, they're not bored. I don't think. Are you bored, Hearts and Supernova? Anybody else? Are you bored? Anyways, like I said, the latest update, the janitor is leaving us this weekend.
Yeah, you
and
told me.
he hasn't found a replacement. So we're going to have no janitor for a while. This is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
This is going to be very interesting. Like, who's going to take out the garbage? And
well, basically, I think they're going to have tenants that are going to buy a rowboat, and in case there's a flood, they'll just row through the water. And when they take out the garbage, I think they'll have one of those, things that you go shopping with. That it's those things that you transport bags with. And basically, I think all the tenants are going to wind up taking garbage in their own thing and just throwing it into the garbage thing.
Well, yeah, exactly. Exactly. So it's exactly it's going to be I think it's going to be interesting times ahead here. Interesting times ahead.
Yeah.
What was the other time? You remember the picture he drew? I can't put it on the screen. I don't have it on my phone anymore. But you remember the picture he put in the laundry room? He drew a picture.
Oh, yeah. I should. The next time I come to your place, I should definitely take a picture and I'll send it to you and maybe you can post it.
Yeah.
That is actually it. I don't think, and I used to think I'm a bad drawer. Like I draw a face basically like American Dad. You know what's the character that was it Stewart? His name, the baby. What was the baby? What was the baby's name? The baby's name in American Dad.
I'm not sure. What family?
Or Family Guy or something. Sorry,
Family Guy. Yeah, that's it. Family Guy. Oh, by the way, just to let you know, my viewers have let me know in the super chat they love having you on talking. So you can.
Well, thank you very much, viewers on the chat. I really appreciate that, and
yeah,
you know,
they love it. They're giving me a wonderful feedback here. They love hearing from. They love seeing and hearing from you. You see.
Well, at least as long as I don't break the camera or disrupt the video, I'm fine. So it's good.
You're good. You're good. No, you're doing awesome, man.
I try to be. Yeah. But yeah, this guy drew a picture. Like I think the baby's name is Stewie from Family Guy.
Yeah.
And I'm lucky if I can draw a face like that. I mean, I can't. I mean, I can draw a heart, and that's pretty much my artistic ability right there. And this guy, this landlord. I'm telling you, it just reminded me of the version of the Planet of the Apes that's gone wrong. I mean, he just, I don't know, he chose something like a laundry machine, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. And I'm just kind of looking and I'm going, I think I passed by kindergarten in my education when they were trying to draw things and try to put the meaning to the picture. And this guy seems to think that we're all babies.
Yeah. Exactly. It's because there are some idiot tenants in this building. There's no denying that.
Yeah.
Because the machines are cheap to begin with, right?
Yeah.
There's only, get this, for 40 units, okay, 40 apartments in this building, there's only 2 washing machines and 1 dryer, right? Which is why I always go to the laundromat. I don't do my laundry here.
And I can see why too, because a lot of times the machine just does not
don't work. Okay, that's just it. You know, they don't work. And there are tenants who do stupid things. Like, you're not supposed to put a comforter, okay, like a huge blanket in those machines. There's a woman. Unmute your mic, Shell. Yeah.
Yeah. No. I coughed.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So, anyways, there is a woman. You know who I'm talking about downstairs in the basement. And she was gleefully telling me how she washes the comforters. And
I got a great idea. I should fix the landlord up with that woman. That would be awesome. Thank you for the suggestion. That would be awesome. She would drive him nuts. He would be the first Asian landlord to ever drink alcohol. I would buy tickets to see this happening. To see him fixed up with this woman. And people in the chat room, if you want to know anything what's happening anywhere, all you got to do is all you got to see is this particular woman talking.
Yeah.
If that doesn't make you jump off the local bridge, I don't know what does.
I know, like let's say I run into her at Pharmaprix at the pharmacy, you know, I run into her at the pharmacy and I'm like, uh-oh, I duck and like I have to duck very quickly into an aisle, right? Because I don't want to be stuck talking to her.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know it's not nice of me. It's not nice of me, you know, because I always but it's weird, you know. It's like anyone who would gleefully tell me that they stuffed comforters in the washing machine downstairs is not exactly firing on all cylinders.
Oh no.
You know, and you know.
Well, if you take her and you take the landlord together because they both don't fire off the same cylinder, you might be lucky that they might fire off a total of either a half or 1 full cylinder. People.
Well, yeah, exactly. You know, exactly. So, you know, what else is there happening? You know. So what else is happening in your world? Tell us another funny story. I'm trying to remember some funny stories.
Oh, there's a slew of funny stories with this guy. Because you know what? The last couple of years, he started bringing in the pictures. Now, when we first got into the building, it was not really, you know, not that many pictures. Maybe there was one in the lobby of the building, I think, but not on every single floor. Now it's basically, I just, you know, unfortunately, you know, you go to a funeral home and they show pictures, and then I go and see the pictures that he had, and he looks at me and goes, "So what you think?" I'm going, "Interesting, very interesting. Pictures, shall we say, Suck. Okay. Yeah. All right. So, yeah, it was not really,
Well, no, exactly. And the latest one, I remember Stefan. I don't know if you were here when Stefan told me this. Like, there's already a camera, a security camera downstairs, although it doesn't work half the time, right? Okay. The security camera downstairs in the lobby.
The security camera kind of reminds me of the Polaroid, the old Polaroid cameras. That's how state of the art that building is. There's no elevator. You walk up the stairs. It's basically a commercial. Well, here in Canada, it's called participation. I don't know what it would be called in the United States, but participation is mainly a public service commercial that basically tells people, to exercise. It's good for you and yada, 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 right?
A healthy lifestyle, yeah.
Yeah, well, going up the stairs in that building, you either have it or you don't,
Bingo.
Yeah.
And I live all the way on the 4th floor. So
yeah, and I remember when I moved out a couple times, or when we would come back from Toronto and we would go up the stairs, and it's basically like, hey, like that kind of stuff. I felt really, like an old 97-year-old US fella.
Yeah.
Which is about $115 Canadian, or 115 years Canadian. But
you know what he was planning to do? Like, the janitor told me this. Okay, what he was planning to do. So we have a camera, an actual camera downstairs. It doesn't work half the time.
Yeah.
But he wanted to put a fake camera in there.
Oh, that's really warning us all.
You were there for that?
No, but I think there was no truth to the rumor that he basically put a camera that looked cardboard and he wanted to make it look like it was fake. Yeah, that one. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, Sheldon here has had a very long career in radio as a producer. Haven't you? Yes.
Yes, I have. Okay, I was listening. Okay.
And he's got funny stories about that too. You want to tell us when you were working with Terry DeMonte and the time when the producer had to leave because he got really, really sick. He got really, really sick, and you had to prepare your show down the hall.
Well, you know what? It was funny because I was working for 3 radio stations, basically down the hall from one another, and it was a company. It was a company I was working for 25 years. So I was doing the music for this classic rock radio station. I was also helping with the music and all this and all the formatting and everything like that. So I don't want to sound too technical or bore everybody. So anyway, my office where I was situated was right outside the studio. So anyway, I was ready to go to like about 8 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. I get there, and all of a sudden this announcer comes out and he says, "Sheldon, I really need you to produce the morning show." And I looked at him and I'm saying, well, I never did it on this side of Shom because there were 3 different radio stations, 3 different formats, 3 different shows. So to acquaint the listeners, there was one station that was a news talk radio station. So that I was doing the majority of my work at. So I was a producer of different talk shows. I was a producer for the morning show, the afternoon drive, and I basically had the brunt of my experience in that company working for that news talk radio station. Then there was another station that basically played, music from Taylor Swift, basically chart radio, the top 40 stuff. And then there was this classic rock radio station, and I was doing the music for this classic rock radio station. And right outside the studio, the announcer comes out of the classic rock radio station. He says, "Sheldon, I really need you to fill in." I said, "Okay, I just need you to, help me through everything." He says, "No problem." And he says, the other announcer would come in anyway, usually about 45 minutes before, and he could be able to produce while you go to the news talk radio station, because my shift started there at 9 o'clock. So I had to, So anyway, I start going, and I said, okay. I started producing for this announcer who was a swell guy. I love this guy. He's a friend of mine. And he says to me, okay, load up the next half an hour on automatic. And then by that time, the person will go. I said, okay, that's great. And I have to skedaddle on to the news talk radio station. So I set him up. I put everything on automatic. I go to the news talk radio station, and I think about 15, 20 minutes or 25 minutes later, like 9:25, 9:30 in the morning, I get the call from the production person from the classic rock radio station. He says, "Sheldon, you need to come in here." I said, "Well, I can't because I'm doing news talk and nobody's here to replace me on this. And this is the busiest. The news talk radio station is by far the busiest the busiest thing, as you could attest to this, because I have to answer phones. I have to, everything it's basically like a technical director instructing the announcer when to go on, and everything is timed out. It's not like the other radio stations where you were over a few minutes here, a few minutes there. Not the end of the world, but this was a station that was a heritage radio station that people would synchronize their watches, and people would depend on us for the news and traffic and sports, and everything had to be at a certain time. So it was very important that I was there. So I was there, and the production guy said, okay, I'll send you an air check of what happened. And he starts to laugh at me, and so he sends me the air check. And I listen to this, and I'm crying my eyes out, because what happened was the replacement announcer did not show up as scheduled, and this man, who hasn't produced his own show in many, many, many years, was faced. Shall we say that there was a console? It's for people who are not acquainted for the radio. There's an on-air console, and it's filled with buttons and knobs and switches, and you've seen it. You've seen the console and stuff. You've seen where I work and stuff. Yeah. So you really have to know what you're doing, and it's all a question about timing. Well, in all due respect to TM, timing was not one of his strong suits, especially after not working this piece of equipment for many, many years and not being acquainted, because he would always be used by somebody doing the work for him, and he would be behind the microphone. The other person would do the magic, the commercials, the mixing of music, and everything else. So anyway, the replacement person didn't show up on time. He had to try to improvise with his assistant to try to see how he was able to make the stuff work. So anyway, he starts going, and he says, the spirit of rock, and a song starts playing at the same time. He starts, no, sorry.
There were two songs playing.
Yeah, there was two songs played back to back. He stops one of the songs on the air. So it sounds like, and then you don't hear anything. And he says, oh, geez. Okay, well, he said something else, but I can't say it. So like the old JC, in other words, okay? So he says, okay, Spirit of Rock, show him 97.7, and I'm TM, and I'm trying to figure this out, and I'm trying to, and he gets into the whole spiel about the producer that does the work for him and everything else, and says, I'm trying to do this now. I haven't done this in many, many years, so bear with me. I'm going to play a commercial. Yeah. So he says to his partner, he says, ready, here we go. Dead air. No, sir. Okay, that didn't work. Let's try it again. I think I know what it is. I have a bunch of flashing buttons and everything, and he's describing all this to the audience and everything like that, and he's going, I think I know what I'm doing. I think I'm going to try it again. Ready? No, sir. Okay, let's try this again. Then all of a sudden, you hear like there's two commercials playing back to back, and like two commercials right at the same time playing. So it's like, and it's going back and forth, and then he stops, tries to play it again, doesn't work. Then all of a sudden he plays a song, and he goes, okay, people, we've got this song on. Sponsors will wait till a little bit later, and the other person says, well, sales department is not going to be exactly enthused, because that's how the radio stations make their money, by the ads that you hear. And I know some of them could be absolutely nuts, and could hear about 6 or 7 minutes of commercials an hour, or actually 12 to 14 minutes an hour. Because when I was working at the news talk station, we used to play about 10 to 12 minutes of commercials per hour. You remember this? Yeah. And this is how the salaries are generated, and the operation costs are all done, and everybody makes their money that way. So that was one thing. Then there was another situation, but I can't repeat the words because they're swear words. So the technical producer kept saying, nothing eff'n works. Nothing. This is eff'n S. This is nothing is working. And he doesn't realize it, but he's going on the air by saying this. The engineer comes in and he goes, we're on the air right now. It's almost like a Peter Lorre. We're on the air right now. And the hostess, there were 2 female hosts, dear friends of mine. And they said, we're on the air, and he's swearing on the air. And the engineer's going, well, you see what happens is, almost sounds like a combination of President Reagan, and Peter Lorre. This guy, okay? So if you can imagine the way. Well, if you put the mic on, it mutes the speakers and you're on the air. Then another situation happened to me in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, the nation's capital of Canada, folks.
With
where
the
I was
JM, he had the initials JM.
Yes.
Ah, this one.
Yeah. So what happened was, we had a power failure in Ottawa, and this was going back many, many years ago. And it was powered by, at that time, kerosene in order to keep the emergency, like the equipment, operational. Because for people, for major market radio stations in big major cities, radio is a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week business. Mm-hmm. It's always on. There's people working around the clock. It's always around the clock. So you get different shifts and everything like that. And believe you me, I've worked these crazy shifts. So basically, when I got my first commercial radio gig, it was at a radio station in Ottawa, and from 1982 to 1984. And this guy, you talk about really not the brightest tool in the shed. That's a compliment compared to what this guy did. So anyway, we were playing music on turntables, not on CDs. So this is going back way before. The commercials would be on cartridges or carts, we would call it in the radio industry, and it looks a lot like the old 8-track tape. So people who know about the 8-track tapes, you've seen 8-track. Yeah, so that's how basically our commercials, and eventually our music started going on it, and because we eventually got rid of the turntables and stuff like that. But that was a little later on. But anyway, there was a widespread power failure in the Ottawa Hall area. And so the engineers was aware of it. I called the engineering staff in plenty of time. So they went to get kerosene. It was in the middle of winter, and the traffic was not great. And it took them a long time to get to the store. And the transmitter is not where the radio station is located. It's usually located at a far distance because it goes on the premise of the atmosphere and the terrain where it best can get the best sound possible for it to reach their audience. So it's not like in the middle of it's not like FM. This was an AM powered radio station. The AM the towers go to about 680 feet to 700 feet in the air. And so you need a certain terrace and a certain ground area to maximize the effectiveness of the sound. So the thing was, our studios were downtown, and the transmitter was God knows where. It was at least about a half an hour, if not an hour, away from the radio station. So the thing was that, they had to reach and be able to replenish the kerosene in order for everything to go, and then also they had to bring the kerosene in the control room into the building to allow us to continue to operate continuously. Right. Well, that didn't work out too well because it took a long time for them to get the kerosene, and you've heard the expression too little too late. Well, what happened was our turntables that were playing the records started slowing down. Now we were playing records at 33 1/3. Well, it started going at 32, 31, and the music started going, it started slowing down very bad.
Oh no.
Yeah, so this went on the air. We couldn't play the commercials because we didn't have enough juice to power our cartridge machines to be able to play it. So it started slowing down, and eventually everything came to a standstill. Like we couldn't operate anymore. And then eventually we couldn't put anything to the transmitter, and eventually the transmitter was off.
Right.
So anyway, he goes on and he says, and I told the announcer right away, I said, JM, we're off the air. The equipment is not working because nothing is going. The only thing that were the emergency lights in the building, but not our equipment. So nothing was working. Nothing was working at all. So even if you would put the microphone on, you would only hear it in the studio only. You would not hear it on the air. And this was before, of course, internet and all this and streaming and all this stuff, right?
Sure.
So anyway, so I told him, he seemed to have understood. I said, okay, fine. So he says to me, goes on the talkback. It's a two-way talk system because the control room is separated by soundproof glass. And the only way you can talk to the other person is you press an intercom button and it goes into the other studio.
Yeah.
So I told him, JM, we're off the air. This is the whole story. And I showed him everything. So I thought he got it, but apparently he didn't get it. He didn't get the memo. He didn't get it. And I told him not once, not twice. Anyway, he goes and he starts. All of a sudden, I see his microphone switch going on. And I'm looking at him, and I hear it through the speakers in the control room, but it's not going on the air.
Right.
So, and he's saying, well, he's giving the weather forecast. He's going, that's going to be, really cold in the nation's capital and everything like that. And he says, coming up next, we're going to have so-and-so. And he's cueing me to play a commercial or cueing me to play giving me like a hand gesture to play a musical selection or playing a commercial. And that's what a cue means. A signal, like a hand gesture like this or something, And I'm basically just putting my feet up and I'm putting my arms behind my head like this. And I'm putting my feet up on the chair and I'm not reacting. So he keeps going like this and and I'm just going, and I'm smiling. I'm going, and he turns off his microphone, and then I hear him putting on his microphone. Hang on, I got a cough. Give me 1 second.
Sure. Okay. Well,
pardon me. Yeah. So anyway, he goes, and I hear through the monitors, ladies and gentlemen, to all of our listeners at this radio station, I just want to let you know that we're off the air. And I'm looking at him, and I'm giving him this look of total, like I'm going. And I'm just looking at him and going, and he's still cueing me, and I'm going, I'm putting my feet up, and I'm laughing. I'm laughing already. I'm already past the point that I'm dying. I'm almost falling off the chair. Turns off his he turns off his mic and he says, Sheldon, why aren't you doing anything? I said, let me ask you something, Jam. Let's analyze this together, people. Okay, let's analyze this together. I said, okay. Could you just tell me what you just said and what you just did? I just want to hear it from my own 2 ears, and I want to hear it coming out of the horse's mouth. I felt like saying something else, but I'm too much of a gentleman to say it on the YouTube channel. So he says, I wanted to tell people we're off the air, and I'm going, okay. You want to tell people we're off the air? That's great. I heard you loud and clear. Just one question for you. One little statement. I said, why are you saying you're off the air when we are off the air?
Yeah, who's going to hear you, right?
Yeah, the only person who's heard you is me and inside your headphones. And that's pretty much the same. And you're telling people we're off the air when we're off the air. I said, that's really good thinking. And I basically said, tell me, who writes your material?
Well, it's like, I don't know, between JM and the landlord over here, I don't know who gets the Darwin Award.
Well, I got to say it's pretty close, and I'll let the people in the chat room.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to suggest everybody in the chat. Why don't you let me know? Yeah. Let me know who wins the Darwin Award, my landlord or JM? Okay, well, let us all know, and maybe we can take a fun little poll. Who gets the Darwin Award over here at Straight Talk and Fedora Chick's channel?
Yeah, I'm telling you, it is absolutely amazing. It's nothing short of amazing, people. It really is.
Yeah, it's true. It is nothing short of amazing. It's amazing, amusing. Yeah.
And I'm not making this up. If anybody wants to know if I'm making this up, I'm really not making it.
No,
you can't make something like this up. You really can't. I mean, look, let me give people. You were saying to people that I should do stand-up comedy. Okay, yeah. There's a lot of issues with that. Number one, people, I would suck terribly. I would absolutely suck. Like I think like dust in the winds, to quote a Kansas song. Okay, I just. Let's put it this way. When people say, Sheldon, you're a stand-up comedian and everybody stands up and leaves, it defeats the purpose of me doing comedy. So much so that I even tried to do a comedic act myself by looking into the mirror. And I got so bored in what I was saying.
No.
I just got up and left. And you know what? And I'm not even an alcoholic. And it forced me to drink,
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
No. You don't drink
I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on.
You don't drink at all, dude.
No, I don't. But these things can actually, and people in this profession, I'm not going to name names because
No.
but the thing is, and it's almost a tragic thing in a way. Some of these radio station parties that I've been to, and some of them have been known to have like fantastic parties. Like when I first went to my first few parties, it was actually on top of a very prestigious building.
Oh, really?
And yeah. It was in Place Marie at what used to be known as Altitech 737. And for people who've never been in Montreal, it was a big observation deck of the entire city. And it would slowly start to move. And you would see different corners of the city. Like you would rotate around very, very slowly. You wouldn't get dizzy or anything like that. They would have a dance floor. They would have a restaurant. And it would be absolutely fantastic. And we would have like just amazing, fantastic parties. And the thing is, it would always be an open bar.
Right.
And the thing is, with one of the things that I am being very serious about is the fact that it's a very stressful business. It's a very backstabbing, and it's a very strenuous business. And you saw the stress that I was under before I was let go with over 2,000 people in that year from the company that bought over. And you would see, and I used to have a lot of fun doing it. And every once in a while now, I work at a commercial radio station, which you're acquainted with, and I do news and traffic for them. And these are very laid back people. It's such an amazing difference from where I used to work when this big, huge company took over versus where I'm working now. And it really opened up my eyes, so much so that my boss actually gave me the opportunity to go on the air and do live news and live traffic for this radio station, where no other major market station in the city, which is a joke anyway, but I don't want to get onto a tangent. It's basically a monopolized with one big, huge company. And I couldn't get on if my life depended on it to go on the air. I did some commercials here or there, which you heard. But the thing was, they never gave me the opportunity. And the thing is, getting to this and putting all this aside, it makes a lot of people very insecure about their jobs, and they drink heavily. And it's not only in broadcasting, it's also in the newspaper business, and it's a lot in the arts per se, in the arts, and even in the advertising business too, that a lot of people, it's such a highly stressed job.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it seems people in the chat, just to interrupt you for a second, people in the chat, oh, okay, hang on. Uh-oh.
What's wrong?
My mic muted. Can you all hear me? Let me know in the chat. Can you all hear me?
I was able to hear you all this time.
Okay. Because it seemed my mic muted for a second. I was having a little glitch with my computer. Okay. I think we're okay now. Okay. Yeah, I was about to say people in the live chat for the Darwin Awards are voting for the Landlord.
Okay. All right. Then the Landlord it is.
Yeah, the Landlord gets the Darwin Award. Yeah. Yay.
Okay, I'm actually able to see the chats, but I don't think I could leave a chat, but I see the chats now. So okay. I was able to see, so yeah. So I see Supernova, I see Hearts Love, and yeah, I hope you guys, you people are doing very, very well, and I hope I'm not boring you to death.
No, they seem to like you. We seem to be getting some very positive feedback here. Yeah, but yeah, they were even saying. So you were saying, what were we saying before I interrupted? It was, oh God.
Well, the arts industry per se, as creative as it is, it's a very tough. It's a very, very tough industry. Yeah. And but you know what? Like, I mean, I love what I'm doing now, and I love where I'm working now. But it's a small to medium-sized company, and most of their programming is automated. And I'm, but that I've told you before, and it's nothing new to people who do listen to them. But the management have been extremely nice. They've been wonderful. I've had talks with my bosses. Usually you have a talk with a boss, it's 5-10 minutes. This guy, it's a half an hour, at least a conversation with him. And he's a very nice, great sense of humor. And he was the one who gave me my first break in terms of doing a lot of on-air stuff.
Yeah.
And they have these extravagant, beautiful, wonderful parties in Toronto. I couldn't go last year. I'm going to try to go this year.
Right.
Well, thank you, Hearts Love. I really appreciate that. That's really nice of you. Thank you. Like it's going to the party in Toronto. I'm going to try to see if I can go this year, because last year, unfortunately, I wound up moving, and it was a very rough time of my personal life, and I had to move, and I just couldn't go. But this year, all being well, I plan to go to Toronto if everything goes well.
Cool.
And they have all expenses paid. They put you up in a hotel,
Nice.
transportation, and they feed you like apparently 4 or 5 course meals. Like and it's actually, it takes place outside of Toronto, actually not far from Canada's Wonderland, actually in a place called Vaughan, Ontario. So I'm going to try to see if I can be able to go there and see where this is going, and we'll see. But I'll say one thing: if anybody is interested in going into this industry,
Yeah.
I have one thing, and I would say this to anybody that, let's say, ever got into radio. And I was the go person to train a lot of people, as you remember, because I used to write up these manuals and everything like that. And I was the one whose supervisor would ask me to be. So I was like an assistant supervisor and a senior technical assistant. And I would say to people that if you really want to go into this line of work, if you want to do it because you love to do it and you have the passion to do it, then I say do it. If you're going thinking that you're going to make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, don't waste your time. That's the thing with the arts industry, because people think that you make a tremendous amount of money. And it took me years to make a decent living over where I used to work.
Yeah.
But it takes a long time. And I would put in a lot of hours, and I really was very passionate what I did. And I was my toughest critic. But I would say to people, at one point, even my sons were thinking of going into the business, and but their mother was steadfast against it, although she was not alive when I lost my job. But she knew, she saw a lot of people would, get let go and whatever, and she would see, and also working at different shifts, because it's not your typical 9-to-5 job. It took me a long time to get a prime time shift. I mean, right now when I replace people, it's a prime time shift. It's during the day. But I had to pay my dues. I used to work at the middle of the night, used to work weekend overnights, weekend mornings, afternoons, whatever. I used to work holidays. I used to work everything. It took a long time. So you really have to have the passion to do it. But I would say, follow your passion, follow your dream. That's what I would say to anybody. And no matter what they do, like, don't let anybody think, oh, you'll never. I wanted to do radio since I was in high school, and I
remember you said that. Yeah.
And you know what? Usually people in high school, they're not really, they really don't know. And even people going to college and sometimes even in university, they're not sure what they want to do yet. And I always loved, and I had friends that was in the commercial radio business. I would sometimes sit in. And then when I went to high school, I said, there was a radio station club. I got involved there. I got involved in college. I did an intercampus marathon, which I lasted 60 hours straight.
Holy.
Yeah, I'll never do that again.
No.
Oh, no, I'll never do that again. Oh, trust me.
Can you imagine doing a YouTube or a Twitch live stream for that amount of time?
Oh, no, I'm never doing that.
Have the camera turned on, have the camera turned on for 60 hours straight.
Well, you remember when I went to a cable channel, and this was an interesting story too in itself.
Oh yeah, when we were working for Matt TV.
Yeah, I was working for and it's a cable company, and it's basically in the area where we live. Yeah. And it was an English language programming, because Montreal is English and French. Yeah. So we went into the English programming, and it was a volunteer basis, and it was basically training to get to know a little bit about how a television studio works. And it's much different than that from radio. Certain things are similar in terms of the audio, the sound, but in terms of television. And then you got to remember something. And this is when I was doing floor manager. I was doing stuff behind the scene. And I got along really well with the director. Very nice guy. He heard my name from the radio station where I worked at, because it was a #1 radio station where I used to work at. And he heard my name, and he said, it was nice for you to be behind the scenes. He says, I'd like you to be in front of the camera. And he said this in front of the group. He said this in front of me, and I paused. and I basically felt like I was just going to faint and fall off the chair. I said, GD, you got to be, and it's not God, it stands for these two initials. I said, oh, GD, you got to be kidding me. And he says, no, I think you're great. You have a gift for the gab. Well, I'd like you to go in front of the camera. You'll do a 3-minute bit about, stuff to do in and around Montreal. And I'm going, you're kidding, right? He said, no, you're going to start tomorrow. I'm going, what? And I started going. So I had to start writing up a script, and I was in charge of writing up a script and taking the websites, and the websites they would post under the camera. And then you got to realize something for people who've never been in television before. Like, I've done radio commercials. In many cases, I've done voiceovers for commercials. Now, when you're in a radio station and you're doing the commercials, you're in a soundproof booth and you're behind a microphone and you don't have a camera watching you. And you can read from a script, but you could improvise, and you could improvise to a certain point, as long as you get your product and everything what you're supposed to get, across to the listeners. Okay, if you want to, veer here and there, as long as you don't affect the integrity of the commercial or the product. Okay, fine. But you could look at the script, you could, and then you could look at the stopwatch by counting it up to 60 seconds or 30 seconds, depending on what the commercial and how much the client is paying for commercials, because it's usually a 15 or 30 or 60 second, increments. Well, Supernova, I'm sure you do probably have a gift of the gab.
Don't underestimate yourself.
Yeah, don't underestimate. Everybody has it.
Everybody has it.
Yeah, it depends on what your industry is, and I'm sure everybody uses the gift of the gab for sure. I mean, look, you do CK because you have a YouTube channel and you're doing very well in it, and that's great.
Well, I wish it would grow a little faster, but
it's going. So the thing was, like, when you're reading a commercial in a studio, you could look at the script, you could look around, I could look around, whatever. But then when you got to do it on camera, it's a different story. Yeah. Because you can't veer off like this. You have to look directly into the camera. And you can't move your eyes.
Well, I have difficulty with that. When I do YouTube, oh, you're very welcome, Supernova. Thank you. But, as I was saying,
You're welcome.
Oh, I'm free. A heart's love. I'm sure you could.
I'm sure you can.
Heart's love, you're awesome. You're awesome.
Just think of Obama. Yes, I can. Think of Obama's. Yes, I can.
Yes, I can. The old motto from 2008 American election. But anyways, back to what I was saying.
Right.
I hear you about the camera, because even when I shoot a YouTube video, okay, and I'm not talking about live streaming, because I usually do those unscripted, but when I'm preparing a video for upload, those are my usually more serious topics. Mm-hmm. I have to read from a script, because otherwise I do get lost easily. I get flustered, and then I got to do a lot of jump cut edits. And I got to start all over again. So, I have to read from a script. And I get word loss too, right?
Right.
So, but here's the thing. Because I'm using the built-in cam on the computer, okay? I don't have like an attachable Logitech or whatever. I'm not using a camera on a tripod. I'm using the computer. Yes, we are very primitive around here. We are very rudimentary. So it's hard for me to gauge where the heck is the cam. I know it's on the top or around the center of the computer. Do I move it up like this? You see? Well, no, that's a bit of a problem. Do I lower it down? And then the chair is like off to the side, and it's like sometimes, and I look at myself and it's like, are my eyes looking straight at the camera, looking straight up? Am I looking down? And I find, and I still do, like I have about 75 videos uploaded, including live streams to date. And I notice, there's sometimes I'm going to, but then it's going to get weird, because I'm going to be experimenting by pre-recording videos off my phone, because I'm going to be going to outdoors, like far from the neighborhood, but with all the construction, of course, because nobody needs to hear the construction noise.
It's a beautiful time for a neighborhood, a beautiful time for
I'm going to get demonetized.
Can't you be mine?
I'm not even monetized. I'm not even monetized.
Can't you be mine? Okay.
Oh, God, we're going to get a copyright strike here.
No, we're not playing the video of it.
No.
Playing the video of it. No.
I know.
Yeah, but no, as you were saying, continue.
Yeah, so I hear you when you were saying, being camera shy for Matt TV. it's not that much different from doing YouTube, right?
Well, it's different to a point, and I'll tell you what it is. You have like, let's say, a series of cameras, but I was the reporter that they actually had on the outside of the studio.
Mhm.
So basically, there would be two people that would be inside the studio behind a desk, and then they would shoot out the people in the control room would shoot out to me when it would come time. The switcher would switch from the people that were in-house to me outside.
Yeah.
So the thing is, they would get me outside, and there was one day it was pouring rain, but I was under an umbrella, but it was pouring rain, and I was outside, and so they had me on the outside perimeters of the studio, and they had me doing that. So the thing is, I would see a light when it would come time, when it would shine on the camera. When the light shines on that camera, that's the one that's going out on you. That's the camera that fires off, and that's how people see you, from that camera. And they would go from different cameras and stuff like that. And they would go, from the people that would, let's say, be questioning me to my responses. So let's say when they would zero in for me on the responses, I had to look directly into the camera. I would be able to hear them because I would have a headset. And I'd be able to hear it. Plus, I would also hear it from the floor director. Like if the floor director was trying to communicate with me, I would hear that also. So the thing is, let's say the people that, let's say, do newscasts.
Yeah.
What you don't see is, you see like an earpiece. You don't even see the earpiece. It basically trails from the back of them. You don't see a wire that goes in front of them, because that would not look aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah.
You would see it in the back, and then you would see this little microphone basically pinned on a lapel on a shirt or on a woman's blouse or something like that. And that's a very, very small mic. And that's a great, great microphone. The quality is absolutely outstanding. But at the same time, when you have that earpiece, you could hear if somebody is trying to talk to you. And basically what they try not to do is they try not to talk to you when you're talking. Like, in other words, if let's say they're going into the announcer and I'm listening to wait for my cue, they can talk to me and I could actually talk to them before they tell me they're going to me.
Okay.
So I'm able to hear it, but it's very quick. Like, you can't have a whole conversation because they switch all the time. Right. So this was the interesting thing also. I had to do a promo.
Oh.
And I had to do it on camera.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So they were pre-recording me because they were inserting it as part of the Matt TV programming, and they say, tune in for me, and I'll be doing what's in and around the city and all this stuff. So the thing is, yes, you do a promo, but they're also counting you down, because you can only do, it was anywhere from a 10 to 15 second promo.
Right.
And you're doing it when the camera's on you, and you're not writing this down. You're doing it absolutely from the spur on, right off the top of your head, what you're gonna say. So you have to improvise. You have to make it sound good, and you have to do it within 15 seconds. And if you think it's easy, and if I thought it was easy, after that I had such a tremendous respect. If I didn't have it before, which I did, I certainly have it now. Because when these people have to do the news, or when these people are reporting, and let's say when they're doing a breaking news story and they're on location, I can't imagine. They don't write scripts for breaking news. If they're there, they have to report what they see, and they have to make it sound as factual as possible, as clear as possible, and they have to do within a certain allotted time, and to be prepared to answer questions from many reporters. So it's not easy. So the thing was, I didn't write down answers. I didn't even know what questions they were even going to ask me.
Oh, no.
No, like I had a certain aspect. Like, I know they weren't going to ask me if I was talking about this particular site. I knew they were not going to ask me about another site, until they would take my lead and then ask me questions once I started getting into it, right?
Yeah.
So let's say, for example, I recorded on the city of Montreal. They wouldn't ask me necessarily about a suburb of Montreal. They would ask me something about the city, something that I've said, but I would also have to be prepared to answer that question once posed. Once they would pose the question. So it's like right away, you know, and I would have to do that as part of my report. So I would do the first part of the report, like let's say a minute, minute and a half in, 2 minutes, and then the rest, maybe 30 seconds to a minute, they would ask me questions about it.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so it was really a really interesting thing. And it took me a while. It took me a while to really, you know, be very comfortable or start feeling comfortable in front of the camera, because I was nervous. The first report I did, I was nervous and I felt I was nervous.
Uh-oh.
Like I felt I was nervous. The second time when I did a report on a second time, because they asked me to do I felt much, much better because I was used to it. I started feeling a lot more comfortable. And so then I went on the camera. So, and then also at that time, I was also, little secret here, my glasses that I wear, okay, are tinted glasses. So when the sun hits the glasses, it tints up.
Yeah.
So the second report was done, I think it was a week later or 2 weeks later. It was sunny and very, very hot. It was about almost 90 degrees Fahrenheit with the humidity to match, and 32 Celsius if you're watching in Canada. And in the States, it's about 90 degrees Fahrenheit. It was broiling, hot like you wouldn't believe. And I was wearing a hat.
Yeah.
I was wearing a hat because, you know, I would not, you know, I would not get away with not wearing a hat for many things, especially health issues. So I'm wearing a hat. I'm wearing a fedora, like I'm wearing a, you know, yeah, well, not as big as yours, but you know the gray hats I used to wear. Yes, I was wearing that hat. Because I wasn't going to wear a baseball cap. I didn't want to feel like, you know, I didn't want to feel like I was an alcoholic or something, or felt like, you know, I was bobbing for apples and wanted to, you know, beg for money. I didn't want to come across like that. But the thing was, when the sun hit my glasses, it tinted my glasses. You didn't see my eyes.
Oh no!
And then I realized my eyes were moving. But the camera didn't see it because the glasses were covering my eyes. So the glasses basically saved me. Otherwise, I would have to do it again.
Oh, no.
So I was lucky because I didn't have to do it again.
Right. Yeah.
But I remembered when I first did it, my very, very first time doing it, when I felt nervous, my eyes kept moving. So they said, cut, we have to do it again. And then I realized, and then I finally did it. But I started getting nervous because you have to look right in the camera.
Yeah, well, Supernova says, she says she would be nervous too.
Well, you know what? I guess now I taught myself the best way to do it, and I would have pointers for anybody that's interested in doing that. Even so much, just try to have basic like this. Basic science is the same way as when I go on a microphone and read and do a newscast or do traffic. I basically say, okay, imagine Supernova or Heart's Love or CK, that I'm talking to you. We're sitting on a park bench. We're having a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And we're shooting the breeze. We're looking at each other. We're shooting the breeze. And we're talking natural. We're talking, you know, like, you know, how's the weather? What's the latest? What's going on? You know, how's your family? How's this? You know, how are things at the office? You know, what are your hobbies? What are you doing today? Like, just kind of, and just establish that type of communication. And that also taught me how to do in job interviews.
Yeah, that's true. But you know who we have to hand it to? Your friend Jeff. He's starting now, past the age of 60, a career in stand-up comedy, going on stage and putting himself out there. I believe you mentioned he recently came out publicly as being on the spectrum, as being having Aspergers.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
So now he's doing the comedy based on.
Yeah, he's doing it like that, and he feels that it's a great outlet for him, and it's something that he was very nervous and scared to come out, and it's a very courageous thing. And for people who don't know me, I'm a high functioning autistic person, and my parents were told that I would never graduate elementary school, never mind high school, college, or university. Fortunately, I was able to graduate junior high because I went into junior high. So I went right from elementary school into junior high. I graduated high school. I graduated CJEP, which is college, and and I graduated university a couple of years ago. When I graduated, I got a certificate in HR. So I went to all these schools. I fought a lot of uphill battles. It wasn't easy. I did not come out either about it and addressed it. And then I said to myself, well, my God, why should I hide this? This is why I identify with a lot of videos that you come out with on mental illness. And I had a lot of problems with that. Albeit it's a different form, I guess. I don't know if that's the best way to put it, but it was a different. I had a lot of coping mechanisms. I had a tremendous attention span to certain objects, fixed objects.
Right.
And I would really tune people out. And I remember this when I was a kid. I would tune people out, but my memory, I have a very good memory of what happened throughout my life and when I was a kid. And I have a tremendous, my sister will say today that I have a very good memory.
True. I had this similar experience to you. I grew up and there is a video on my channel for those who don't know about being a toddler, having developmental delays, like fine motor skills, speech, what have you. Mm-hmm. And I remember my father used to say, and there's like conflicting stories between my father and my late grandmother. My mother doesn't seem to remember much of it or doesn't want to or whatever. Because they all said too that I was supposed to be institutionalized forever, like forever. They said I was going to be institutionalized forever.
Right.
So let alone go to school. And indeed, I started out kindergarten at the Montreal Children's Hospital school program. I was not going to school I was not starting school with other 5-year-olds in my neighborhood. So I always knew I was different. I couldn't express it because I couldn't really speak. I was still under the care of speech therapists. There are some in my family who thought that they were diagnosing me as well as autism, as well with autism spectrum, as being autistic. There are some who say, no, it was just developmental delays for whatever reason, inexplicable. Because the other issue was I was also throwing seizures. And that's one of the reasons why I can't drive. And I don't think I would be insurable, actually, if I were to try to drive, right?
Oh, yeah, because that's one of the questions they would ask you. Oh, thank you so much, Supernova. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, Supernova just said we make a great team.
Thank you so much, Supernova. I really appreciate it. That's really nice for you to say that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so you and I knew about your autism, but you didn't go public with it. So I never shared it with anybody, obviously.
Yeah. I do consider myself, believe it or not, a private person. So there's a lot of things I just don't like to.
No.
And you know what? Many years ago, for people who don't realize it, I'm sure you could identify with this. Mental illness was something to the point that I had a burnout. I had a massive burnout.
You and I first met, actually, and started dating.
Yeah, I had a massive burnout, and I was out of work for about.
Bye, Supernova.
Take care, Supernova. And it was really, unfortunately, I was out of work for about 3 months.
Oh.
And the thing was that out of 24 hours a day, I'd practically sleep an entire day because I was so exhausted. I was so, I was working all these different types of shifts. I was working practically 7 days a week.
Yeah.
And one day, because I loved the job so much, it just caught up to me. And it was really, I found out so many things after. I found out I was diabetes. I had high blood pressure.
Yeah, I remember.
I've had asthma. I've had asthma for many, many years, way before that. But I had high blood pressure, diabetes. I had cholesterol, and I found all this. And my blood pressure went to almost 200, and I almost had a serious nervous breakdown. And I never had any problems before that. And then I had a lot of health-related issues. And I really try to, I say to myself right now, I really got to look after myself. And I have to, and the thing was, when I was burnt out, a lot of people that I thought were my friends all of a sudden decided to put me at arm's length. They didn't understand it.
You really learn who your real friends are during a crisis.
Well, that's always the case. It's not like when you're happy, everybody wants to be your friend. When you have money, everybody wants to be your friend.
Yeah.
But when you're sad, or let's say when you don't have money, or let's say when you're sad, all of a sudden, where are my friends? Like my phone very rarely rang. There were a couple of people that were kept in touch with me all the time. JLW was one of them, and Avram was another one.
Yeah.
And there was only a couple of people. A lot of people that I thought, that I was very close to. All of a sudden, no. And it actually, there was one person that I used to work with. Unfortunately he's passed on, and he had this
Butler.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Butler. Yeah.
And he was, to most people, a very tough, cold person. And he was the first one who opened up, and he sent me a check, and he wouldn't take no for an answer.
Yeah, I remember.
And I didn't ask for any money. Did not ask for any money at all. And he wanted me to make sure I got medications and made sure I got food and everything. He was and I said, I can't cash this. He says, yes, you are. You're going to. And then the news director of where I used to work gave me a check. And it was and then the general manager of the person that encouraged me to get into radio, he gave me a check. And he was the one who said, listen, you come back, you take as much time as you need, you come back. And I remember one time I went to work on a different subject altogether. And it was something with my arm. I don't know if I sprained my arm or something. I don't remember. And I was as a rule in the control room, you really need both arms. And I was working with a sling.
Oh man.
And I was doing the board, operating the console with one hand. Don't ask me how I did. Don't ask me how I did it. The console was huge.
Yeah.
The one that I work with now at the radio station where I'm working now, it's smaller. But the one where I used to work, oh my God, you needed both hands for sure.
Sure.
And the general manager didn't know what happened to me. He came in the control room, and he says, Sheldon, when you finish, could you come and see me for when you're on lunch? I said to myself, the general manager wants to see me. This is not good. Right. I go in, and he says, Sheldon, I really appreciate what you're trying to do, and you're a real trooper, and I really appreciate this. I've already called your supervisor. He's getting somebody else going in the afternoon. You go home and you rest. And I said, but RB, no, Sheldon, that's an order.
Wow.
That's an order. You go home, and it's the same thing when I was burnt out. He called me up and says, Sheldon, whatever you need. He was a real mensch. And that wasn't where I had the problem, when I was let go, because he already left, and he was almost like a second father to me. And then I remembered, at the same time, and I hope I'm not boring you or taking anything away here, CK.
Yeah.
But I remember one time we went out for dinner at the radio station, and it was one of the first times he took our whole department out for dinner.
Oh wow!
And it was a very popular place called WG on Crescent Street. And so he took us all out, and I was sitting beside him, and my supervisor was sitting across from me, and my supervisor and I got along very well. I always got along well with my supervisors.
Right.
So much so they always put me as assistant supervisor because they always liked me to train because I was very detailed oriented. So anyway, the general manager starts speaking. He says, before we order, I want to let you know, I really appreciate all the hard work you do, around the clock and everything like that. He says, but I want to tell you something about this man that's sitting on my left. And I'm going, uh-oh.
That's you in the hot seat.
And that's me. And he says, this is a guy that always loved doing radio, and this guy worked, and this guy is a real professional. And he goes all this, and I'm turning, as they say, 50 shades of gray. I was turning 50 shades of red.
Oh no.
Because I was I felt so uncomfortable. My supervisor winked at me, and he gave me a thumbs up. And I said, okay, Dad, if you're like a dad, can I get the keys to the BMW, please? BMW. So he says, listen, son, just remember your father, your boss. Okay, can we be friends? And he starts laughing. We were just joking around at the table. That's actually a very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, you know.
And another thing too. Here was another thing. Talk about radio.
Yeah.
Which was actually a very serious thing. It took place in Ottawa also, but no, we were on the air when it happened. I was working an all-night shift, otherwise known as a graveyard shift.
Oh yes.
And I don't know if I think I told you this story. There was a woman that called in.
Mm-hmm.
It was she was probably or I don't know if she was either like a late teenager or like 18 to 20, let's say, in that area.
Yes.
So she was in a relationship.
Oh.
It didn't work out, and she called up and she wanted to kill herself.
No.
Yeah. And
okay, just a second. We're gonna have to euphemize because YouTube tends to frown on such words.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
It's okay, you didn't know, but YouTube is
okay. My apologies. Okay. So there was a person that had a lot of problems, and the thing was, and my apologies to YouTube.
That's okay.
And the thing was that I had to try to talk until the police arrived. And the thing was, it was.
So you had to talk this person down, essentially.
I had to talk this person down. I do not have any counseling experience. I'm not a counselor. I've never been in social work. I've never been in any of that kind of stuff.
Oh man!
And I was put in a situation, and when you're in the middle of the night, you have a very little staff at the radio stations. You have an announcer or a technical producer and a newscaster. That's it. Everybody else is sleeping. You know, all the management is sleeping. This was not on the air. This was off the air. I was playing music. I couldn't even put her on hold. I could not put this person on hold for fear of.
Oh, man.
And she made it very clear that if I did, yeah. So the thing was that I signaled a news person to contact the authorities. And I had to keep her on for about an hour because she was in Quebec and I was in Ottawa, which was across the river, and it's in a different province.
Yeah.
It's not like they have now where it's all computerized and you could easily get the person's phone number and address within a snap of a finger. They did not have the technology that existed that day. So it took a long time to get a trace in order for the authorities to come to her house. I was on with her for about an hour.
Oh my goodness.
The authorities got to her and she was saved and everything was fine. So yeah, but it was a real tough, and it really was, it really forced me to sound as natural and as sympathetic as possible. But that was the extent of it. So I'll leave it at that. But it was really, I'll tell you more off the air.
Yeah, no, of course.
Yeah. I don't know if I told you this, but
no, this is the first time I've heard of it, actually.
Yeah. So it was a really difficult situation, but thankfully everything was okay, and it could have very well happened because when the authorities arrived at the house, they saw what she could have done.
Oh wow!
So yeah, so that's
Well, all's well that ends well, right?
Yeah, for sure. So that's it was a very tough situation, but boy, did that ever if that didn't give me the ability to ad lib, I don't know what does. Like,
yeah,
really.
I'm sure it's like training under fire, right?
Because when you're a social worker, when you're in that type of work, authorities, psychiatrists, psychologists, that's part of what they do.
Yeah,
but when you don't do it.
You remember I used to work for a social service agency for close to a decade, right? So
yeah. And it's
I understand that thing, but wow, I had a similar call, not when I was working for social services, way before when I was dispatching taxis. I was working graveyard at a taxi company. So, I had to answer the phones, for people calling for taxis. And I had, now at night, in the graveyard shift and the taxi, bleh, easy for me to say. taxi business. You can imagine the sort of clientele that calls,
Well,
right?
it's the same thing when people call radio stations in the middle of the night. It's exactly the same thing. Like, I guess I suppose in any graveyard shift like that,
Yeah.
you're in the public eye like that. I mean, it's not like you're working in a factory when
No.
you're not on the phone, but anything to do with anything to service the public that you're working these hours, you never know what you can get. You never know.
Never know. And I remember, like, I had the weird calls, you know, people, because, like, when it comes to 3 a.m, when all the bars closed, as per the law here in this province, you know, all bars closed, people are calling for taxis. They want to go home, and they're already, you know, pretty, well, let's just say they're not feeling any pain, right?
Yeah.
They're feeling a little lively. It's floppy. So they're calling for a taxi, right? And they have no idea where they are. Like, I had one that would, and then I had one call that was kind of disturbing. The guy called me. He was like, I'm bad tripping. Like, I took a lot of drugs. I'm not going to mention the drugs that he mentioned. Because I do have a lot of people who view my chats who are in recovery from addiction. So I don't want to trigger them.
Right.
Like, it's like, oh no, what do I do? You know, it's like, and I had been around that most of my life. You know, I lived amongst addiction. I was an addict myself. But when you're, you know, I had joined the civilian world, so to speak. I was working as a taxi dispatcher. I'm talking to a customer, and he's claiming he's bad. It's like, what do I do? You know, and I'm trying to hand signal the shift supervisor because, you know, the big bosses are gone. You know, of course, it's graveyard, but we had a shift supervisor. And I called the shift supervisor. What do we do? You know, anyways, he ended up taking the call off my hands. Thank goodness. Because I had no idea what to do, you know. I mean, we're not a 911 dispatch, you know. And I think, and that's the thing I noticed a lot at night, especially. We got a lot of calls, people thinking we were the 911 dispatch. And it's like, no, we send taxis. Okay, I get people would call a taxi to go to the emergency room in the middle of the night. Yeah, that happens. I've done it. You've done it. We've all done it. You know, but when you're at the other end, it's a little different perspective. When you're on the other side, people are calling you.
Right.
Taxi, you know, to go to the ER in the middle of the night, or those who are, let's just say, out of it because they've had a little too much party. Oh boy, it was something else, you know. So I get you, you know, you had to talk that person down on the radio. I had to deal with somebody who was claimed he was bad tripping. I don't know if it was a prank to this day. I don't know if it was a prank because it could have been, and we did get a lot of crank calls. I swear you get all kinds that call it.
Oh, I'm sure, no doubt. Like same thing in radio stations. You get all these crazy calls in the middle of the night. It's.
Yeah, exactly. You know, so it's just so totally weird. It's the thing, and taxi business. Trust me, as dispatcher, you gotta have nerves of steel. You're dealing with because you're dealing with customers calling for the taxis, and they're complaining about all kinds of weird stuff. You know. Some legit, most honestly not so much. And then you got to deal with the drivers out on the road, you know, because I don't know, they lost their address, they didn't take it down, or something happens, whatever, you know.
Well, I'll give you an example, and this is I guess you can call this a little bit humor. I was working at the classic rock station on New Year's Eve. So I don't know if I told you this story either. So we were taking requests. There was no announcer.
Oh, no.
And I was the one who was no, it was designed to be that way. And I was the one who was playing with the music, and I was playing music that was commercial free. It was music,
right?
And I was basically taking requests, and as long as it fit in the format, I was able to play it. Okay. So they give you enough music, so in case you don't get any requests or whatever, there's obviously enough music. So it's not like they don't leave you with music. So if you get a request, you substitute the requested song with the song that was programmed. So that's fine as long as you have your Canadian and whatever. Okay.
Yeah. Canadian.
So I was so remember New Year's Eve, classic rock station. Need I tell you more? Okay. So I would get people that have had a little bit.
Talking. I will be right back. Keep talking.
Yeah. So shall we say that they've had a little bit too much to drink? They've had a little bit, you know, they were taking the wrong stuff. They were taking drugs and everything like that. I'm not going to mention the drinks or the drugs. And, you know, obviously when you're inebriated, if you're stoned, you're drunk, had a little bit too much to drink, you kind of feel that your request is not going to go on so well. So in other words, what I'm trying to say is that, if you're trying to say ABC and you're seeing DF, if you know what I mean, it's not the same. And obviously, you're going to slur your words, and it doesn't sound good. You can't play a listener sounding on a radio station which is regulated by the government, and the radio station is federal jurisdiction, and like it is in the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission in the United States. Here in Canada, it's called the CRTC, the Canadian Radio Telecommunications Commission. And the CRTC, the Canadian Radio Telecommunications Commission, they're the governing body, and they're responsible for giving the licenses to the radio stations. So to be able to, broadcast. If you don't have a license, you don't broadcast. So the thing is, some of these people that were requesting, you changed hats, I see, Straight Talking Fedora. Okay.
No, now she's a F-ucker.
Oh, okay.
I'm a F-ucker now.
Okay. So the thing was, I don't know if you were hearing if you were hearing me before about, radio stations are, CRTC, that's governs the radio stations here.
Yes.
In Canada and the FCC in the United States.
Yeah.
So when the people are requesting songs, if they have a little bit too much to drink, or they had a little, they smoked, something they shouldn't have smoked or whatever, you're kind of going to be slurred in the language, and it's not going to come over really straight and really clean and really clear. So the thing is that, at the same time, they're requesting, and I can't, really say too much because I don't want to insult anybody that's had too much to drink or taking drugs, whatever. I don't want to get into that, but obviously I couldn't play their request. I was able to play their music, but I couldn't put their request on the radio. I couldn't play them, like record them and then play them introducing the song. So instead of playing them introducing the song, I would just play their song as long as it fit into the format. Okay. So anyway, I'd only wound up, I was working a 6-hour shift. So I only was able to, my boss wanted to hear, the air checks and whatever. And basically, he says, Sheldon, you only had 4 or 5 air checks? I said, let me play you the ones I didn't play on the radio. And without getting into it, so you could imagine, CK, what I did not play and what it must have sounded like, right? So my boss turns around and he says, Sheldon, on behalf of the show, its ownership and management, thank you very, very much for not playing those requests. And thank you for using your independent judgment. And he was listening to some of the stuff, and I was in his office, and I was crying. We were both crying off the chairs because he was laughing. He turned 50. He was red like a beet. He was laughing his head off. He says, I really have to show this to the general manager. And he actually did. He actually played it for the general manager. The general manager started laughing. He says, Sheldon, good call. Very, very good call. So, yeah, that was, yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. But back to Jeffrey. Okay. Who has come out, using comedy to come out as Asperger's. How is he doing? How's that career going for him?
Well, he has a lot of shows lined up. He has a show on the 19th and the 24th. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, he actually really wants to get into it. I don't know in terms of, not saying for, the Montreal Comedy Festival, but just on the local scene, like just to be like, more on, open mic nights and stuff like that. He wants to get into that kind of a situation. What are you, a person of many hats? What are you, the Mad Hatter? What is this with you? What are you testing out to see if I'm colorblind, CK, or what? What do you do? 1 minute she's wearing a purple one, then she's wearing, you look like a French artist, and now you have fedoras. Yes, we see that you have. We see that you have what I'm going to call you the Mad Hatter woman. Honestly. Jeez. I'll be back in 2 minutes, so I'm going to let you take the floor for 1 second. I will be back. Hold on for 1 sec.
I'll try not to lose the audience.
Yeah, okay.
All right. So it looks like I'm flying solo again. I'm back. It's CK, the straight talking fedora chick. She's a F-ucker, made a brief appearance. No, she's not reading any poetry tonight. And so Sheldon, as you can see, is a natural at this, right? So we hope to have him back. I mean, he's going to come back in a minute or so, but I mean, I hope to have him back in other live streams, right? So, you know what? I have to admit, I mean, it's not the first time I've collabed with anyone on a video, either here or on STFC Kitchen Mishaps. And I have to say, I have fun when I do collabs like this. I have a lot of fun, and it's easier for me to focus, right? And it's easier for me because sometimes, you know, talking into a camera, and I love talking with all of you who in the live chat and those who are watching. I love interacting with all of you, right? Yeah, he is great, isn't he, Hearts Love? Yeah, he is. We'll have to tell him that when he gets back. So it's great, I think, in my opinion. And I enjoy doing the collabs. I hope to do collabs with other people. I mean, not just, I mean, Sheldon, yes, of course, is always welcome back. He's a friend of the channel. You know, he's helped me with audio editing on some of my voiceover videos. He's helped me shoot some camera videos. And he's done a few other, like, this is not his first foray in collab. On STFC Kitchen Mishaps, we did a comedy cooking show. And even on this channel, when I first started as Fedora Hippies last year, to winter 2018, he did a collab because we did a memorial for a very good friend of ours who had passed away in 2015. And it was nice, you know, we reminisce. So I'm going to have those videos linked in a pinned comment once I jump off the stream. You know, once this is done, I'm going to have those videos linked in a pinned comment, as well as other videos I mentioned, which I already forgot about. Sorry, my short-term memory is really, really crap these days. You know, it's hard for me to remember what I did an hour before, right? So, yeah. But, yeah, I thought he would jump on and tell you some stories about his radio days, to talk a little bit about himself, with his own history of mental health issues, you know. And I thought it was great to have on because Sheldon is a talented storyteller. You know, Sheldon is quite the talented. Oh, he's got a hat! Yay! Yay! He's got a hat. He's got a hat. Turn your mic on.
Yeah, I got my. So, what do you think? You think there's possibilities?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, so this was one at the Montreal International Jazz Festival.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to get another one. Hold on.
Oh, you got it. Oh, we're doing a hat fashion show. Yay. Hat fashion show. Yay.
This is a hat I get a lot of compliments on.
On the former Montreal Expos.
Yeah. This is the, I get so many compliments on this hat because it used to be a baseball team here in Montreal. Unfortunately, it's no longer in existence. It's the Washington Nationals now. Yeah. But the Expos were a very big team back in the day, and there's possible talks about bringing it back.
I've heard, but I don't believe it because we really don't have the market for it here in Montreal. It's not like hockey. It's not like, I mean, hockey's a religion here, right? But
yeah, hockey's. What do you think of this hat?
Nice, very distinguished.
Okay.
Very, very distinguished.
Last but not least. Okay, now she's pulled away. How about this one?
Hey, it kind of matches mine. It sort of and kind of matches my hat, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I got a couple of the hats. Yeah, so that's so that's basically that's my hat collection. I mean, I know you got about, let's see, the last count you have 1,478 hats. You should nickname yourself Straight Talking Fedora Chick on Mass, or beaucoup de numéro, or lots of numbers. Yeah.
Oh, Hearts Love says the hat would be a great addition for any future collabs.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Hearts Love. Yeah, we'll figure that out. I mean,
see, people already want you back.
well, thank you so much, and you know, I don't want to take away the
dude.
I don't want to take away your channel because it is your channel.
No, this is great. You've been a great help. I was telling everybody when you were away that you were a great friend to the channel, and like that you've helped edit videos. You've done other collabs in the past with me.
Well, I enjoy it, and you know what, it's nice. Look, you know what, you know, for people who don't know a little bit of history about CK and myself was the fact that she and I went out for 10 years. Yeah. But she and I always remained very close friends after she and I went our separate ways, but we're very, very close friends. We're like basically a brother and sister act. Except one thing, I mean, I don't have your blonde hair and you don't have my bald spot. And it's pretty much... you know, I mean, that kind of stuff. I mean, yeah. Well,
my life, the DIY.
All right. Well, listen, I'm not going to compare hair.
Blue Kool-Aid. I dyed my hair with blue Kool-Aid.
Well, I'm not going to compare my hair to yours or your hair to mine.
I'm not comparing bald spots. I'm just saying. Remember, I dyed my hair with blue Kool-Aid. I did several shampoos. I still have blue.
Oh, really?
My hair.
Okay.
So this goes to show that Kool-Aid is really not, it's really super toxic. It is not good for you. If the color, the dye from the Kool-Aid stayed in my hair after several shampoos, I tell you, you're gonna drink this crap. Yeah,
well, it's like it's incredible. It's a lot of stuff that are just not plain good for you. I mean, you know, but the thing is also, I'm even thinking of possibly starting up a YouTube channel myself, but I just don't know. I just don't know what I'm going to do yet, but you know, like when you compare my hair to yours, and I remember Hearts Love, I'm sure you'll be interested to find this out. Was when I used to work in the studio, a couple of interesting things that happened. Number one, I did meet Alice Cooper. I think I told you that story. And another time, I was a victim of many practical jokes from some of the staff there because I too was a joker. I mean, I know you would think I'm very, very serious and everything.
Cooper. You never told me you met Alice Cooper.
Okay, well, I'll tell you that story.
How you met Alice Cooper?
Okay. When I met Alice Cooper, he was on a book tour. He was writing a book. He was and he was coming to different cities, and Montreal being one of them. And again, we had a classic rock station, we had a chart station, and we had a news talk station. So they gave him a tour. And he went in and did his interviews, and he comes in, and he comes in, and the way the studio is designed, the way that studio was back there, before we moved into the new facilities, and then I lost my job.
Yeah.
Was you would go into the studio, and your back, and on the side would be facing the door. So in other words, you would come in. And let's say I'm busy doing a show, I would hear the door open up, but I would have to forcibly look and see who's coming in.
Oh, wow.
You know, so you don't pay, and people would come in during the day. It was a, primetime day shift. So people would come in and out of the studios all the time. You know, I would have to sign this. I would have to sign that. Somebody would come in and ask me something, whatever, and then leave the studio. So people come in all the time and they would, give people a tour of the studios, whatever. And that was commonplace. And where I'm working now is actually out of a shopping center that it's a glass encased studio that people can see the studio right from the mall itself. But where I used to work, it was in a building and it was on the third floor, and you'd have to go by reception and the doors were locked and everything else.
Right.
So they brought Alice Cooper in. So anyway, the promotions department would say, Sheldon, and I didn't know that Alice Cooper was in the station then. I did not know this. And they came in and they said, Sheldon, Alice Cooper's in the studio. And I would joke around. I said, yeah, sure. And, I'd say, yeah, because, they would play practical jokes all the time. So, what would be the odds, right? Yeah. And anyway, so then somebody pokes my shoulder. And I turn around, and lo and behold, it's Alice Cooper with the makeup, with the hat. Oh, no. And if you remember the album Welcome to My Nightmare, he wasn't wearing the same hat, but he was wearing a hat. Okay, so he was wearing a hat. I took a look at him and I jumped And there's probably still a hole in that ceiling now because I took off like I what like I'm going like this and I'm going and he starts to laugh. I shook his hand and I said hello, basically nice to meet you. Very soft spoken guy, very nice guy, very intelligent guy. And then he just walked because he had other interviews and then he was catching a plane somewhere else.
Yeah, because I think the listener, I was about to ask, what's he like off camera, like when he's off public? Because I'm sure
I met in this type of business that I was in because I used to see a lot of free concerts. Right. Going back in the day before my previous employer took over. And I used to see practically, and I've taken you to Deep Purple. I've taken you to a lot of shows. I've taken my kids to a lot of shows. And even before that, I used to see some of these groups backstage. I used to see the Rolling Stones. I saw Zeppelin. I saw Paul McCartney. I saw a lot of these people. And most of the people are extremely, very, very nice. Yes. Being peculiar, yes. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to wait for CK to come back so she could hear the story. So hearts of love, while I'm waiting for CK to come back, if you got any questions you want to ask me or anything, if there's something you want to chime in about, I'll be more than happy to answer. And I appreciate all the wonderful words that you said. And CK is an absolutely terrific person, and she's a great friend. And I'm glad I was able to help her with some of the videos and some of the audios and some participating in some of her videos and trying to help her out as much as I possibly can. And she's a really great YouTuber and wonderful person. As a matter of fact, she used to host a classic rock and blues show on a station I do a podcast from. To answer your question, Hearts Love, I've been in the radio business now. It's 30 years. It's coming up to 30 years. I'm still in the business commercially. I started off in 1982, and I was actually, even before that, I was doing volunteer for a classic rock radio station. I was basically replacing records that were damaged, because when records were played on turntables, we always had to make sure that we always had at least 2 copies of every album. So if you could imagine how many albums we would have in the downstairs portion of the radio station, you wouldn't believe. So I was doing that, and I was doing that to, get into the business. And I was doing volunteer work. I would come in a couple of hours a day or a night, whenever. Would catalog the record library, give it to the music director. And it was, so I got my start there. My first commercial radio experience was in Ottawa from 1982 to 1984. And the thing was, I'll say this, that as I said before, that radio is a very demanding business, and for every one opportunity, there could be thousands of people applying for the same job. And before that, before we had internet, I was basically sending off demo tapes of commercial demo tapes of my resume, and everything was by mail, by post. It was not by internet as it is now. Now it's very easy to make a demo tape, or what they call a demonstration tape of your work, and then to be able to send it off with your CV, and you could send it by email. But before, you couldn't do that. So then I did that. And then, so I did that. So I would get a lot of doors slammed in my face. And a lot of people, of course, would say, "Oh, Sheldon, you won't amount to anything in this business," and give up. And, and I basically wouldn't take no for an answer. So finally I kept doing it. And I missed interviews literally by 5-10 minutes. I would miss potential job opening that I would come in 10 minutes after another person had the interview, and they would wind up getting the job, and I wouldn't. And it happened to me outside of Toronto, in a small municipality, in a city called Oshawa, and I didn't get that job. And I would go for an interview in southwestern Ontario, which would be a 12-hour drive from here, only to find out the interview was 5 minutes, and to find out that he was not interested, that I was not the type of person he wanted to see. And I went all the way there for nothing.
Oh dear.
So that was not a very, very good thing. So finally, my first, to answer your question, my first commercial radio job was Ottawa, when I got back from that horrendous trip to southwestern Ontario after being 12 hours in a car. Next day, I get a call asking me to come down for an interview in Ottawa, which is a 2-hour drive from here. And yes, you're right, Hearts Love. Perseverance is definitely the key.
Yeah.
And and definitely the radio positions are indeed extremely difficult, for sure. And the thing is that they called me for an interview in Ottawa. So I went down, And you know when you expect and you never know what when you least expect things to happen, the cases usually does. And I didn't expect to be hired for the job, and I went for an interview. They put me into a production studio. I did some production stuff, some editing, and at that time was a razor blade and a white pencil
Oh my,
thing, and that's how you would be able to edit your reel to reel tape, if you remember what reel to reel was.
yep.
And I did that, and the general manager came up to me and he says,
Sorry to interrupt. I'm going to be changing the thumbnail on this, so do a really wacky, weird expression. So we're going to have a nice clickbaity thumbnail.
well, thank you very much.
Hang on. Hang on. Okay.
I feel like Gene Simmons and Kiss.
Yeah, because I thought we should have a nice clickbaity. We should have a nice clickbaity thumbnail.
Yeah, well, here I could do this for a thumbnail.
Very nice. Very nice.
Got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyways, yeah.
So so that's how I got the job in Ottawa. I was hired, and I went from 82 to 84.
Yeah.
Then I came back to Montreal because unfortunately they couldn't keep up me full time because of the budget. And I worked at a radio station from 84 to 85. It was a top 40 radio station at that time. Same thing happened there. And then I got this job in 1989 to 2013 at this news talk, album-oriented rock or classic rock radio station and the chart radio station. And now I'm working at the Jewel. So I've been working for 30 years.
Go back to the Alice Cooper story. So what was he like off camera, in person? Like
he
no
was
cameras on him, no mic.
he was quiet. He has a good sense of humor, but he wasn't a loud person to speak of. But like a lot of these people in their private state, they're quiet. They could be sociable to their friends. It's the same thing with broadcasting radio and TV people all the time. And you would see people that would be really down to earth people, but once you would be on a microphone, it would be incredible. Or you put an instrument in front of them, all of a sudden, like Marilyn Manson. I knew a friend that interviewed him.
Oh,
and he said Marilyn Manson is quiet,
really?
he's a very smart and intelligent person.
Huh.
Like if you ever hear him on interviews, he's very smart. Same thing with Alice Cooper. He's very, very. They're both very well educated. They're very logical people. It's just an act. It's that's what it is. When and you get into this kind of a thing, you find an image. It's all about imaging.
Yeah.
It's about imaging sells besides your music sells.
Absolutely. Heartslove was just saying that the Alice Cooper story would make a great YouTube video topic. So maybe I can have you on as a guest for a pre-recorded video so you can give more detail about the Alice Cooper story.
Well, it was a pretty quick
live stream,
Yeah, I have no objection to that. It was just pretty much a very quick what happened, because I basically talked to him for only a couple of minutes, because he was being guided from studio to studio, and then eventually there was a limousine waiting for him downstairs.
I also hear he's quite the golf player, believe it or not.
Yes, because he lives in Arizona.
Yeah.
And he does play a lot of golf. It's basically a stress reliever for him, but he plays a lot of golf because there's no doubt, like when you tour, it's extremely stressful. You go from city to city. It's really, and I met a lot of people behind the scenes. I met roadies. I met the promoter many, many years ago. That was the big promoter in Montreal before the Gillette Entertainment Group and now Evenco took over. And apparently our Bell Center is the second or third in terms of attendance of concerts. It's the second or third busiest arena in the world for concerts and events. It's very, very big, and Montreal has always been a very popular place for a lot of these groups to go in.
Mhm.
And and the thing is too, a lot of these artists and groups, they have what they call special rider clauses. And you know, where certain artists or groups demand certain things as part of their contract. So it's not only they demand the money from the record companies, certain artists or groups would demand a certain alcoholic beverage.
Uh-oh.
There was one that would demand its Smarties without the red Smarties.
Oh no! You
There,
guys have to pick the, the poor
they,
fool.
yeah, that was they could have been superstition. They could have been.
Like I said, Smarties is a Canadian thing. It's okay. Let's for those in the United States who don't know what Smarties are, they're like M&Ms.
It's like M&Ms, yeah. It's exactly like that. I meant to say M&Ms actually. M&Ms. Sorry, sorry. My bad. Yeah, Smarties and M&Ms are exactly the same thing. Yeah, Smarties was by Roundtree, and M&Ms is their own. I think it's Nestle's or something, or I don't remember. Yeah. So the thing is that they have a lot of these riders, and some of them are really interesting riders. And when you meet a lot of this, you know, when you meet a lot of these people, first of all, the security detachment is incredible. They have their own security. You have security from the venue itself, that's provided by the record companies and promoters, and you have the security, the private security by the artists or groups themselves, because and their security detachment goes from arena to arena, city to city. But you know what? It seems like it's a very extravagant thing, but you know what? It's very tough when you have to literally, and especially if you're a roadie, and roadies don't get a lot of money, but they get a lot of the prestige. But they're the ones that tear down, they set up, they tear down, they disassemble the equipment, they disassemble the stage, all the theatrics, all the lighting effects, all the you know, all those type of special effects and everything. It's all them. And you know, the artists and groups, they have their record company and set up with a production company, and the production company with the venue that's holding the event, they're in charge of the special effects, and they go through a plan, the seating plan, perform each concert, they do rehearsals before each concert. So you know, they arrive at their destination, they barely have time to see the destination. Then they got to go, and they go in for the practice, they go in for the sound check, and then they go and perform, and they pick off and they leave.
Right.
They go in the hotel either that night, or they take a plane right out, depending on where they're going to, and they go. And it's not an easy life. Yes, these artists and groups, they get S loads of money. There's no question about it, because that's their bread and butter. That, and of course, when people buy their music, and you know, the royalties and stuff that they get.
Love in her life, she said going backstage to concerts had to be fun. And she thinks it's interesting.
It's very interesting. There's a lot of stuff you got to put up with, because certain groups are not as nice, and certain groups they'll say hello. But you know, most of the time they're okay. Like most of the time, I never had a problem with anybody. You know, I'll say that. But you know, like I'll be invited in, but I could either be snuffed over, or they'll say hi, how you doing, and shake your hands, and pretty much they move on. But they never kicked us out. Like, you know, if they had drinks, if they had refreshments, if they had anything else, we had these parties before some of the shows, like, were absolutely incredible. Right. Or sometimes we'd even go backstage after the show if they were performing the next day, so they knew they were staying over, or they had a day between 2 days, because sometimes they would perform 2 days, but they would have like what they would call a bye day. Like the next day, there would be another event at the Bell Center, so they couldn't perform that night, but they would perform the next. So they would actually have 3 days in the city. So they would throw a lavish party, and you would see some of the food like would be catered. You wouldn't believe, like catered, like you would like. It's incredible. And there would always be snacks and alcohol and desserts and everything. Like you would think you were going for a 10-course meal.
Wow.
And I can't name the groups and what they have, because I'm not allowed, but I can. But that's basically some of the stuff, you know. And I can't name the groups with riders. No, I'm not allowed to either, out of respect to the promotion and everything. But yeah, it is interesting going backstage. Some won't allow it, of course, and some are superstitious that they might allow you after, depending on what their schedule is. Or if they do allow you backstage, it's way before the concert. Let's say it's right after the sound check, and it's like they're having supper, so they'll allow you to have supper with them because there's so much food they themselves can't eat it, and they'll say, why don't you join us? And and we could have a friendly conversation, whatever. But then about a half an hour before, they'll ask us to leave.
Oh wow!
So in many cases, that would be the case because he wouldn't be allowed to be right up when they get called in. It'd be a security protocol because they have to get ushered on stage, and they have to go through hallways where there is the public, so they gotta so the less the amount of people around them, the better.
Absolutely.
So yeah. So it was really, so that was, that's basically what I could say about the business. Yeah, I used to get a lot of jackets from them, as you could remember. I used to get jackets from where I used to work.
I had a whole freaking collection of them.
I had a lot of jackets, and I would have mugs, and I would have, I have a mug and a t-shirt from the station I'm working at now.
Hey, we could have started our very own, one of those really cheesy old Dorian Suits commercials from the 70s with Ralph Lockwood.
Well, the thing is, the people that are not in this area, they wouldn't understand it because it was basically a French Canadian hockey player, and the way it sounded like another word which I can't name on the air. But he did it in a French accent, and he used to Ralph Lockwood didn't do it the French Canadian way. It was a Montreal Canadiens hockey player.
No, but when Ralph Lockwood did it, it was just as cheesy.
Yeah, he did it, but he would do it in a way too, but I don't remember exactly that commercial, and we can't play due to copyright issues and stuff. So but it was an interesting, but it was more for local folks that live in the area, like people that live outside, they wouldn't know. And that person that you talked about, Ralph Lockwood, he's still in Pennsylvania, but I don't know what he's doing now. He was originally from Pennsylvania. He was an American from Pennsylvania and got his start here.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Is he still alive to our knowledge?
To my knowledge, I believe he is. He's in his 80s now.
Yeah, he would be pretty freaking old now, right?
Yeah, 70s or 80s, I think. No, not in his 80s. No, he's not that old. Think he's in his 70s because when I started, he was already 10 years in. So I think, and I've been in it 30 years, and I'm 60 years old. So I think he's maybe 10 years older than I am, maybe maximum 15.
That's it.
I'd have to find out. I guess I'm going to actually a radio reunion in the city that anybody's worked at at the top 40 radio station I used to work at back in 84 to 85 CKGM. They're having a big radio get together from people who worked at CKGM back in the day, and there's going to be a lot of people that I haven't seen in years, even before the 4th Street reunion. And 4th Street was basically the name of the street where I used to work at before we moved, and then unfortunately another company brought them over, and 2,000 people were let go within that year. So it was, but those were really great times back then. That was really a wonderful, wonderful experience, and that's the things I take away from.
Absolutely.
That's the thing I take away from, and I'm very proud where I used to work before, when we were actually letting our passions go.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with all the YouTubes and the technology, it backfired on a lot of people. And even today, the main television station that's owned by this big company, they used to have cameramen and they used to have a reporter. They were separate jobs and they were unionized.
Yeah.
And now they let all their cameramen go. And now the people that are doing the reporting have to learn how to operate the camera.
Oh,
and
wow.
they'll train them to do it. But if you can't do it, guess what? You're out of a job.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that was a unionized place.
Oh, man.
Yeah. The same people that unfortunately let 1,000 to 2,000 people go within that year. So it was awful.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
that is so. That is
yeah.
so. That is so weird.
Yeah, it is. And this is why a lot of people do drink at these parties, because the stress level in the artistic business is absolutely nothing
I
short
believe
of.
that. I
Yeah.
mean, you
I mean,
here.
you lived with that, and you lived what I went through also.
Yeah, yeah. I mean. I wasn't in a formal entertainment industry, but nonetheless, I did entertain, so to speak, as in the night, way back in the '90s. But I was also,
Hmm.
I had a few party favors, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, understood.
But I've been clean for 20. I've been clean for 20 years, as you know,
Congratulations to that.
and I was clean before I met you.
Yeah.
Before we met you, I was clean. I was 10 years into sobriety, and I would not
Yeah.
know if I would call it sobriety. I never was an alcoholic, really.
Okay.
So it was just the cocaine and
Well, you were clean. So you were 10
yeah,
years clean at that time.
10 years.
And you never had any problem like you had to indulge in it, whatever. And you never hung around anybody that made you go back to it.
No, 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 no.
Yeah.
It's funny. I was surprised, because that kind of element always gravitated towards me.
Yeah.
It always gravitated towards me. Some people think I have a certain look. I don't know.
Well, that's their thing. But
Yeah, exactly. I know. I agree.
yeah.
They sort of gravitate towards that and this, that, and the other thing. And yeah. So I can certainly understand in the entertainment industry, you're expected to be like in this party mood all the time. And it was the same thing even in my days in the bars, it's like you have to be up all the time. You have to be entertaining, and you got to.
This is the thing when you
happy, and it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah. When you're doing a show, especially if you're doing a morning show now.
Oh, thank you, Hearts Love. Thank you. Sorry.
Oh, thanks, Hearts Love. Yeah, I just was saying, like when you have to do a morning show, and I had to produce morning shows, and I did a lot of them, and you have to get up at 4:00 in the 3:30, 4:00 in the morning.
Oh yeah.
And you have to go down, and you have to be on all cylinders by the time 5:30 hits. It's not easy, and it's really a tough. The shifts are very, very tough, and especially the morning show, because it's your body is not used to. Most people are not used to waking up at that time of the morning.
No.
And when you have to do it, and you have to be on all cylinders, and that's the most important show of the entire broadcast day. You have the morning show and the afternoon. You have the morning, midday, and the afternoon drive.
Okay.
And those are the three most important shifts of a radio station. And the morning really gets you off, gets you going, gets to work and whatever. The midday is when people are working and, they have the time to listen or whatever. And the afternoon, you got the afternoon drive coming back. So, and you have to be on all cylinders, and you have to always be awake. Even if you work in the middle of the night, you have to be awake. It's really, that's what it is. It's about immediacy, immediacy, immediacy. And this is what it's all about. It's, to get up early in the morning, and you have to go in and you have a meeting first thing in the morning, and then we were doing when I was working at a news talk radio station, we had to do the traffic, which was by helicopter. So I had to, and I
remember those days.
I was a technical director when I did the drive show, the same thing, and I had to communicate with the helicopter, and I had to make sure I had the control, so I had to share it when I was finished. I had to give control to Mix, and then Mix would give it to Sheldon. And it was me that was like, I was the captain of doing that morning show that I had to work with 3 other stations. And as soon as I finished, I had to give them direct control. If I didn't, they would not be able to access the helicopter.
Oh, no.
And everything had to be timed out. And that was it. CJD was the most important station. The news talk radio station was the most important station. And I was the captain, like I was the commander in terms of giving the technical director, giving control to the other stations when it came time. And I never forgot or anything like that. Like I knew exactly when I was going to go on. And if it was a case that we were going to run into what they call a conflict, they would pre-record the traffic, because we would have the priority over the traffic. So I would give them enough notice so they'd be able to record, so they would have enough notice and still get their traffic reports on. but on the news talk station, it was expected to be done live. The only time we would pre-record is if they were going on the premise of landing, and when they start to land, there would be like a no coverage zone.
Oh wow!
Basically, like being in a dead zone. So they would tell me, "We need to record because I'm landing the chopper." So I said, "Okay, fine." And then I would tell them, I would tell the other radio stations, I would say, "Okay, they're going to have to record. So I'm giving you control. So yeah, record them, and then you could record the traffic person, and then air them when you're supposed to air them." So I would do that. So and this is all done in a live thing, but of course the public wouldn't know what's going on. But I would basically, give them the control, but also at the same time, I was responsible of everything that was happening on the air. If I made a mistake, thousands of thousands, hundreds of thousands of listeners would know it.
I bet, I think you're right there on that one.
So it was a very, it was a very challenging position, and it was definitely the true to form of the word multitasking.
I remember listening, in the old days, like in the 70s and maybe the early 80s as well, when they were all up in the helicopter reporting the traffic, and you would hear the helicopter noise, you would hear it.
Oh, yeah, you would hear it. You would hear it, and I would fade it up, and because that's what we would do, to have the feel of the helicopter going up. So what we would do is, so-and-so's in the CJD traffic, and as the announcer would start saying that, I would start fading it up, so you would start hearing the helicopter start, in the background, like not to override the announcer, but enough to get the feel of you're hearing the chopper. It's up in the sky. It's up to 1,000 or 2,000 feet up in the sky over downtown, looking over the skyscrapers.
You see, there was ASMR long before YouTube, way back in the 70s on the radio. There was ASMR.
Yep.
There was. You had helicopter ASMR.
Yeah, and that's now they don't. Now very few of them do it because of the cost of fuel and the pilot.
Yeah.
Like the news talk radio station no longer does it. They have a person from a booth somewhere, away from the station that reports on the traffic, but they have traffic cameras, just like I do now at the radio station I'm working at now. There's a series of cameras, and through Google and through other mapping areas that we could see exactly what the traffic situation is. So they've cut in, so it saves a lot of money. Mm-hmm. Because it's the government or it's Google that's paying for it. Like we're not, that's providing it for free. We're not paying for it. And so we have access, anybody has access to the traffic cameras. And basically that's what they do. And that's how we report. And it's extremely accurate. And also with other apps that the drivers come across, and with cell phones that drivers come across, and they come across an accident, they call it in right away. Sometimes the chopper's not in that position. It's because they have to patrol an area of the metropolitan area that it serves. So if it's in the western side and the traffic happens to be on the eastern side, they can't get there on time because, but if somebody's right there on a cell phone, they call it in. So the coverage is instantaneous. They call in a phone number that's paid by the cell phone companies. They call in the phone number into the traffic control area, and they do the traffic report, and they get it like that. It's instantaneous, plus the cameras also. Yeah. So that's why, so with the price of fuel and everything else, they decide to disband, but when it was up back in the day, it was incredible. I went up a couple of times on the traffic camera.
Oh, you have?
And yeah. It was really something because they were doing rides with employees
at
one point, and they had the Jet Ranger at that time, and we would go up, and it was a 4-seater helicopter. And we would go up, and we'd go like 1,000 feet in the air. You and I went into a helicopter, not the
Niagara Falls, right over Niagara Falls.
Yeah, we went right over Niagara Falls, which was absolutely
a 20-minute ride. Not cheap though, but it was a lot of fun, and it was worth it. If you've got the extra cash, just spray.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was really something. I have pictures of it to this very day. I still have it. And
the videos too. Some of the short videos are up on my Facebook.
Yeah, it was really something. I was actually surprised you wanted to go into those into the.
I know. I was surprised myself too.
That and the CN Tower. I was surprised at both of them because I knew you were scared of heights more than I was because I've taken planes and everything like that. I was never scared of heights. But then when you said, let's go for a helicopter ride, or if we could afford it, or let's go for the CN Tower. And CN Tower is one of the tallest buildings in the world.
That's right.
It's no longer the tallest building. Abu Dhabi is the now tallest one, the one that they have there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but the CN Tower used to be the tallest building in the world.
Right. Yeah.
And then when you wanted to go on it, I said, "No, you're kidding me." And we went into the observation. We went into the as high as we can go.
Oh yeah, exactly. So and I went up in a Ferris wheel at the old port recently, where I shared the cabin with some ladies who they were from Alabama. They were ladies here from Alabama.
Oh yeah, I noticed what you just said, that when I did the mid-morning show, I had to be there for 7 a.m. It's true, because there's a lot of in this thing with YouTube and a lot of clips. What I was required to do, and when I first started off, I could be in there no later than an hour and basically just talk to the announcer and just plan our music accordingly. And that was when we were playing music. Now now they very rarely play music, and now it's expected that if there's a topic, as long as it's not too serious, the program director wants you to get a series of clips or something that would fine-tune the audience in to what was the topic of that particular day. So as long as it wasn't anything gut-wrenching, like if it was 9/11, yeah, we would play clips of, let's say, a reporter talking about a certain event, but
Right.
we wouldn't make fun of it. We wouldn't do a music thing.
No.
It would be like a clip based on something that was already reported. So, but we would have to get into it. And remember, we're doing it live. We're in the same studio where we're actually transmitting the broadcast signal to. So it's like, I had to do that, and I was in charge of a lot of things, and the pressure was absolutely enormous because they took the technology. They took the technology and they harnessed it to its fullest content. Now, it might sound really good on the radio, but also I had to answer the phone calls, where before I used to have a screener, and I had to answer the phone calls and then research clips, and then I still had to pay attention to what was going on the air. And I had to make sure everything sounded good. And
Yeah,
it was
absolutely.
And it was absolutely, that was one of the things too that got me onto my burnout. That the stress was just absolutely insurmountable. Plus, I was dealing with a lot of management at that time that, shall we say, they did not understand what was going on. They never been inside to see the technical stuff, what was going on. They were basically armchair people, and I don't want to get into more of that. But it was very difficult, and that was really responsible for me having a lot of the burnout, because I couldn't handle it.
Just hang on, Heartslove had a comment. He said, nowadays, most podcasts are recorded ahead of time and edited first. Yes, that's definitely true.
100%, Heartslove. Yes. Podcasting now is a very big part now, because you see, the thing is with internet radio, and this is one thing commercial radio has only gone on the bandwagon much, much later, was you have to be on your toes nonstop, extra. Yes, absolutely, 100%, Hearts Love. Definitely, because when you're doing a live show, it's just that if you make a mistake, you're going to hear it on the radio. Management's going to hear it on the radio. The announcer's going to hear it on the radio, and you're going to feel very, very bad. Do mistakes happen? Of course they happen. But the thing is, the pressure is so much that a lot of these, what they call brand directors, are under so much pressure from the people on the top. They put the pressure on you. It's like a chain reaction type of thing. So there, yes.
For our American audience, brand director is the new title now for program director. What used to be a program director.
Well, that would be the same thing in the United States also, because a lot of these big companies like Clear Channel, and they have, all these big companies are very similar in the way they operate, is that they have brand directors, and a select few dictate right from the top. And getting back to podcasts, there's no question at all. I mean, I do 2 podcasts a week on 2 different radio stations. One of them is a classic rock through Mixed Vibes. Another one is more of a talk, and I'm an on-air contributor. The one that I do, the classic rock, I host my own show. The on-air contributors, I contribute to a person who has a show. And I get passes every year to go to a comedy festival, which I report on. And that gives me the privilege of being able to get these passes and everything like that. And it's not a paid thing. The thing that's great about these podcasts, though, is that you basically redefine your own schedule. In other words, the music that I play from my show, I'm responsible for the music content. I pick the songs, I pick the selections, I basically decide what I want to talk about. There's a lot of freedom. Radio stations that run commercially, like the radio station I'm currently working at, that I'm actually getting paid at,
Yeah.
they're under CRTC or the FCC in the United States, and that means that you're regulated. So there's certain things you can, and there's certain things you cannot say. You are required by law to play a certain amount of Canadian music because it's a music station that I'm working at. You have to play a certain amount of Canadian content music.
Quickly to our viewers from the United States or anybody outside of Canada, there might be a few people from overseas. They might be waking up now. Explain what the Canadian content laws are.
The Canadian content regulations, basically, the CRTC, the Canadian Radio Telecommunications Commission, which is our broadcast regulator in Canada, similar to the FCC, similar to the FCC in the United States of America. So they're responsible of rules that would dictate of what you can and cannot say on the air and cannot play. And in the case of Canada, we're regulated by law in Canada to play Canadian content music, which promotes Canadian music, which is a smart idea. The thing is that they set rules of regulations of how much Canadian content a radio station can play. Of course, they can play more, which is more than
fine. Love it.
They'll love it, and so will the Canadian artists' music. Will love it as well. And the thing is that what they do is that when you play the Canadian content, we have to keep a running log all the time. So by law, depending on the type of radio station and license that you have, talk radio stations are compelled by law to keep a 90-day diary of their broadcast journal. So in other words, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for 90 days, they got to keep a log. They got to keep a diary, an audio log that if that can come into scrutiny if questioned by the CRTC. If somebody has a complaint of something they heard, then the radio station would have to furnish it by law. If they do not have it before the 90 days, they can get extremely deep trouble. They can even get suspension or even as strict as a non-compliance and a nullification of their broadcast license.
Absolutely.
So that's what it's all about. So they have to adhere by law to play Canadian content music if you are a music station, and it can range from anywhere from 30%, 32% to 35%.
And they seem to also now they're regulating Netflix Canada, which is why we don't have the same programming as say Netflix in the United States.
Well, that's which is I think ridiculous, but that's another story because it's a paid service, whereas radio stations are free.
Yeah.
And I could understand that, but Netflix, which is a subscription. Service, I don't think that they should be, and Netflix is international.
That's right.
And the thing is, radio stations in Canada are governed, even though they're now on the internet, they now have to, they have to be on Canadian law. It's not, like in other words, a station that wants to broadcast, let's say on the internet here in the United States, does not have to play Canadian content music because that's not where the broadcast, it's where the broadcast license is from. So if a broadcast license is from that in Canada, then they have to adhere to the laws of Canada. If the broadcast license is from the States, they'd have to hear what the Federal Communications Commission, the FCC, what they have to adhere from their laws. So that's where it can get a little sketchy.
Sketchy.
Thank you. Yeah. As you can see, it's getting late. It's getting late for me too. But English is not. Yeah, and I'm on the air. But the thing is that that's what it is. I mean, that's it's a lot. There's a lot of regulation, but at the same time, some regulation is really good, such as the Canadian content rule in Canada. So it gives groups like, let's say, Rush or April Wine, or like anybody that would like exposure where they wouldn't get the exposure. Because also the market is not as big as it is in the United States or in other places. Canada is like 30 million people. United States is like 300 million people.
That's right. Yeah, United States is way more populated than we are in Canada.
So you're also talking about visibility, but now with the internet and now with social media and all this other stuff, it's a horse of a different color now. The rules have changed a lot into that point, so that's basically what it's all about, to put things in perspective. And but when you're in a podcast thing, you're not regulated at all. So basically, I don't have to play Canadian content music.
No, but apparently, you do still have to pay licensing. If you're playing licensed music, you still have to pay.
Yeah, because that's a different story.
That's a whole other confusing mess, because I've been doing research on that.
Well, the thing is, for people who are not acquainted with that, if you're playing a musical, if you're playing a musical type of a show, and the radio station that I do,
just hold that thought for a second. Heart's Love, she says she's struggling to get her messed up charger to work if she disappears suddenly. But she thinks we're talking about very interesting stuff. Thank you, Heart's Love. I hope you can get your charger to hang on a bit longer.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna get going soon in a few minutes anyway.
Yeah, I'm gonna kill the stream soon myself.
But that's basically, if you have any questions about that, if anybody has any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer that.
Yeah. What I'm gonna do, because this stream has been longer than average, so what I'm gonna do, I'm leaving it up, but I'm going to edit. I'm going to try and put some timestamps of the topics we talked about. So if you're only interested in a few topics, but not everything else, you will just be able to go there directly. I'm still learning how to edit in the text, so I don't know how this is going to turn out, but I will do my best to timestamp the topics, like you talking about meeting Alice Cooper or your radio career, or talking about you being on the autism spectrum and our mental health issues and stuff. So I'm going to try and timestamp everything. So, you can just tune in to where you want in the stream.
Sure.
Afterwards, like I said, I will be linking in a pinned comment once I jump off. I'm going to be linking in a pinned comment our previous collaborations, which is in loving memory of ALK, which we were talking about, a tribute about a friend, which we did a year and a half ago when I had no idea how to edit videos. So the editing was quite choppy. And our cooking show that was on my other channel, STFC Kitchen Mishaps, which I have done nothing with for close to 2 months now, and probably a bad thing for a new YouTube channel, but it is what it is, right? Yeah. Oh, thank you, Hearts, for posting the link. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Hearts.
Hearts Love is a great Hearts Love and Supernova.
Yeah.
They do great jobs as moderators here on Straight Talk Fedora Chicks live streams. But so before we end, let's do some fun stuff on a lighter note.
Sure.
What do you want to do? What do you want to do? Something fun, something to make people laugh. You're good at this sort of thing.
Well, you know what? I'm going to say this. I don't know if not going to say necessarily it's funny, but you know what? I think there's so much bad things in the news these days. There's so many bad, and I just say, you know what? It's time for everybody to, not take yourself so seriously. Basically, I would say to anybody, just be yourself, relax, stop, everything is, what's the word I would say? Everything is politically incorrect.
Speaking of politically incorrect, you do realize we were competing with the first federal leaders debate for the
Well,
You were
yeah.
competing with the federal leaders debate tonight. Oh damn, that was bad planning to put in a live stream.
Well, you know what? I wouldn't have watched it anyway because I'm really I'm not going to start getting about political situations because
No, we're not going to
way
talk politics. I'm just saying that live stream. I could have planned it. I should have planned it better because we were competing with the first federal leaders debate tonight. For those who don't know, we go. Oh shoot! Oh, this is not good.
You all right?
Yeah. I hope nobody caught it, but anyways, hope nobody caught it. Yeah, we were competing because next month, for those who don't know, the writ was dropped yesterday. Our prime minister called the federal election officially, so let the games begin. And we go to election October 21st. Yep. So tonight, God, they moved quickly. Tonight was the first federal leaders debate, and I scheduled a live stream to compete with that, right?
You are a smart cookie, as far as I'm concerned. So you know what? Good for you. And CK, I just want to read something that Hearts Love said. Thank you for. He says thank you for. She said thank you for stopping by. Much appreciated. It is my pleasure, and thank you, CK, for asking me to come by and
well, you know what? I was before you jumped on, before you came on, I was talking about perhaps since I don't seem to be having anything going for my birthday, at least to date. Wait, hang on. Can you hold the? Hang on.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. Yeah. So anyway, thank you so much for Heart's Love for all the wonderful things. It's my pleasure, and it's and like I said, if you have any questions, if there's something something you want to know more about, and if I can be able to give you, because certain things I can't say in terms of basically I have to keep things in perspective because it is talking about radio stations, you have to be careful what you can and cannot say.
This is true.
But I can say one thing in terms of like what it's like to be in radio. That I could definitely be more than happy. I can't say in terms of who's getting what salary or anything like that, or but I could say basically what it's like, what I was doing, what type of work I was doing. How they are like outside.
Do you have
outside.
a question, Hearts? Wait a minute. Does she have a question? Do you have a question? Do you have any questions right now, Hearts Love?
Oh, she said, I understand privacy. Sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So, but if there's something you want to know about, broadcasting, radio stations, a little bit about the, because I don't want to start getting more and more into it because there might be a lot of people that might not want to know about the, so we'll see what happens. But anyway, CK, I'm going to get.
Hang on, before we go. When I said, like I said, before you jumped in earlier a few hours ago, I was mentioning because I don't have any plans for my birthday right now at this point.
Okay.
And I was thinking about doing like a live stream on my birthday, kind of like a virtual birthday party thing.
Oh, I see.
What do you think of that idea?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think because I know I have because it's right around your
holidays, huh?
Yeah, but I'll have to see what the day is on that because that I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, I forget when Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur are this year.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it's around the 28th or the 29th. It would be Rosh Hashanah. I'll have to look and see what my day is, but it's in that area. It's right either the 28th or the 29th. So okay. I don't know on that one. So I won't be able to. I'm not going to be on. If there's any. Trying to think what day that is. I'm not even sure what day it is.
You have a calendar in front of you?
Not really, and I don't want to start because I'm looking at the.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. I just asked if you like.
Yeah.
If you happen to have had.
Yeah, if I can, for sure, I'll try my very best. I don't know, but that's really.
It would be fun. Yeah, Hearts Love and Supernova, I believe, expressed earlier before she left.
Perfect.
Supernova expressed that she liked the idea of a virtual birthday party in a live stream. I know, you know, and I've seen other YouTubers do it as well, you know, and it's kind of like, you know, so you're not really alone. You have some company. But, you know, on this live stream, I would like some people to jump on. I mean, if it's you, that would be great. Maybe a few other people. I can put up to 6 people on this thing, as it turns out.
Oh,
I
good.
can put up to 6 people on this thing. I mean, I may cut people off because I'm still learning. I was also talking about I downloaded OBS, but the interface looks like a freaking spaceship, so I got to learn how to use that, and I want to hook it up to Streamlabs because I think Streamlabs, because if people want to, let's say, donate to support the channel, because, you know, I'm not monetized, and nor am I eligible for Super Chat. So if anybody, I mean, no pressure. You don't have to. It's our pleasure. It's my pleasure to give the content for free. It's what I love. You know, it's just if you want and if you can, you can. But I'm thinking like having Streamlabs might be easier for people, you know, because PayPal. I mean, but for now it's the PayPal link. But as soon as I figure out Streamlabs and OBS and how to hook everything up, and I am not tech savvy, so I am looking for somebody, you know, to give like Streamlabs for dummies.
Okay.
OBS for dummies. Anybody out there who watches this can at least point me in the right direction where I can find such a thing, you know, something that is using the layperson's terms.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah. Okay. So you do a few voices. I mean, but don't do you know who, because we do have recovering addicts who watch us.
You know, it's wonderful things, you know, you get for a lot of people, you know.
No, do your Marvin the Martian.
Oh no, my Q48 space modulator! He has stolen my Q48 space modulator! Oh, he makes me very angry.
Can you do Bugs? Who else do you do in the cartoons? Who else do you do? I forgot who else you do.
Well, not so many cartoon places, but no, I can do. I'm just trying to think.
Well, it doesn't have to be cartoons. It could be anything.
Well, I can do this. You know, well, you know, I tried to do the one thing in the Québécois person. You know, I have the problem trying to understand. Try to understand the situation.
Who's that?
I don't know. It's Jean-Guy Lablanche or Jean-Guy. You know, La Framboise.
Were you able to imitate what Hollywood stars or singers are you able to imitate? You were able to imitate a few.
You're not putting me on any hard you know vibration, not vibration, a lot of situation promises or something like that, I guess. I don't know in terms of the I'm losing my wife. I'm losing my wife's. Yeah, I'm really getting a
brain freeze.
Yeah, I'm getting a definitely a I don't know. I'm really losing my volume here. My
Okay, quickly tell Hearts and everybody else in here. Okay, everybody knows your youngest son got married, but the dogs were the bridesmaid and the groomsmen, weren't they?
Yeah, it's incredible the mileage.
Bridesmaids.
Yeah, it's definitely the wonderful.
Are you having a brain freeze?
I don't know. I think I'm having a brain freeze. I don't know why. I'm just the wonderful
The dogs
But,
were a
yeah,
barking.
it was really a fantastic,
They were wearing
fantastic.
tuxedos, you said. The
Yeah,
dogs were wearing tuxedos.
yeah, definitely a wonderful.
Wow.
Yeah,
It's got you speechless.
yeah, I'm really having trouble here. I don't know why.
Okay, fair enough. Are you
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, like I said, I've been having a problem with you know,
Yeah, because your son got married last weekend.
yeah,
Or the weekend before. And
Yeah.
you said dogs were dressed up as tuxedos, so they were
Yeah.
like bridesmaids, and they were walking down the aisle too.
the dogs were definitely
They were like the star of the
Yeah.
wedding. Yeah.
They were definitely very important of the you know, the wonderful part of the the wedding
ceremony.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I mean, I think I'm just very tired also. So I mean, yeah. Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, you've been on for a few hours. You've been a great sport.
Yeah,
You're
thank
gonna
you so
come
much.
back but you're going to do other lives with me. You're going to do other collabs with me, I'm sure. You know, like I said, you're a friend of this channel. And so you're going to be back, right?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to being valuable. Definitely, I love doing this, and I thank you so much for inviting me onto the.
No problem.
I
And
really
remember,
appreciate
if you ever do start a YouTube channel, well, I will promote you. Although my channel pretty much is so small, it still flies under the radar. But it's news that if you want to do YouTube, it's great. Now, I'd be happy to give you a hand. And
well, thank you so much. I really
like I
appreciate
said,
it.
I'm not really the expert because this channel, like I said, it flies under the radar. It grows really super slow. You know, it's like.
Yeah, for sure. No, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And you know, it was really nice, the wedding of my son, and it was really a wonderful. I still can't believe he got invited. He got married. It was really incredible.
Yeah, but she's a great girl, you know.
Yeah, she's a great girl. The dogs were really
and
yeah. The dogs were really impressive. They were really well behaved. And sorry, like I was trying to get my thoughts, you know, available to be able to let you know about what happened, to ask, you know, to respond to your question. But I can tell you that it was really incredible, that it was so well done, and everybody was really impressive. It was about 100 people that enjoyed it, and it was really a very wonderful place, and it was really in a tremendous place, and it was really very well planned. You really could not have impressive more you know, available. It could not be any better than possible.
No, she's a great girl. She'll keep, you know, she'll keep them grounded, you know, and I think it's great. I really think it's great. I mean, yeah, I mean, the idea of dogs and tuxedos is a little unusual, I got to admit, but, you know, it is. Hang on, Hearts Love. Oh, see, she wants you to start a YouTube channel too. She says, thank you so much, Sheldon. That was fantastic of you. And please have him create a channel so we can subscribe, even if he doesn't post as of yet.
That's very sweet of you. Thank you so much, Hearts Love. I really appreciate that. Well, I'll take see what there is, because I have a lot on my plate right now. But
yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, he really does have a lot on his plate to commit to a channel full time, because it is a commitment.
Yeah.
Trust me. I had such a rough summer that I couldn't even handle my second channel, STFC Kitchen Mishaps. As a result, it has suffered greatly. I've gotten new subscribers on it, but I haven't uploaded any content in over 2 months.
Yeah.
You know, because and I've been concentrating on this one, because this one had a bit of a growth spurt over the summer as far as subscribers and views, especially in the month of August. That was my best month, the month of August, as far as views and watch hours are concerned, and subscriber count. So I've been concentrating more on this channel, although the other channel, if you think about it, STFC Kitchen Mishaps, probably has a better chance of getting monetized once it hits the 4,000 hour watch hour threshold and the 1,000 subscriber threshold. But I don't know. My head is more here at Straight Talk and Fedora Chick for some reason.
Well, just concentrate on what you're doing, and as long as you're happy what you're doing, you're comfortable. That's the most
like
important.
I said, yeah, I know you have a lot on your plate, like I said, but if you ever come the time you start a YouTube channel, you're going to have some fresh subscribers.
Well, thank you very much, Hearts Love. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
Yeah,
So,
and
yeah, you're going to have some new subscribers if you choose to do it. And of course, you know, I'm saying this on camera for all to hear. I will definitely give you a hand. And like I said, all the stuff that we talked about when I'm in the editing process, probably by tomorrow morning, I'm going to have everything time-stamped because this was a particularly long stream.
Yeah.
So not to make people try to fumble and find what they want, I'm going to try and timestamp everything.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah. Because it's unrealistic. I mean, this live stream went on for 3 hours and 24 minutes.
I'm just exhausted, and I have a bit of a headache. So
take something, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm going to eat something because my sugar's a little.
Oh, yeah, you better. Yeah, you don't want to go into hypoglycemic shock.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
so give a big hand to Sheldon, and we will welcome him back at a future time, like in the near future.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And
thank you. And we figured out Streamyard, at least for this bit.
Yeah, it sounds very good. And thank you so much, Hearts Love, for everything. And thank you so much, Supernova. And thank you for allowing me to come on. And I hope that I hope that you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think they did. I think everybody did. I certainly did.
Thank you so much. Well, take care. Have a great evening, and take care. And we'll speak to you soon. Take care, Hearts Love, and it's my pleasure, Hearts Love, and thank you for all your wonderful compliments, and thank you so much for everything. I really appreciate it. Take care, everybody. Okay, take care. Okay, bye-bye. Bye.
Okay, so now it's just yours truly who is back, so I'm flying solo again. I'm not going to be on here, you know, it's it was great having him on. My God, it's like time flies. This turned into a particularly very long stream, and here I was promising myself I was going to do shorter streams, you know. I was going to try and do shorter live streams, and I did not live up to that. But you know what? It was a lot of fun. I think it was worth it. Many of you stuck around at least through almost the whole thing, or if not the whole thing. Hearts Love has been here since the beginning. You're a true champ, Hearts Love. You are a true champ, a great sport. So, so yeah, it looks like at the end of the month, unless I get last minute plans for my birthday. Right now, I don't have any. I'm thinking about doing a birthday live. My birthday is on the 29th of this month, for those who want to know. But I'm not sure if I'm going to do it exactly on the 29th. Like I said, I'd love to have Sheldon back on with me, as well as maybe a few other people to join us on the stream, you know. And we can talk about a variety of topics that's important to you, or we can have a little fun, you know, kind of like, it's my virtual birthday party and I'll frickin' cry if I want to. Yeah, kicking and screaming, you know. So that would be a lot of fun. Yeah, exactly. So you're a real champ, Hearts Love, for staying through the whole thing since 9 o'clock this evening. I truly appreciate it. And everybody else who stopped by and stuck around a lot or came in and came back, you are all awesome. You all rock. And thank you. And welcome to my new subscribers and new viewers. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, it would be great. So I'll keep you tuned up. But of course, I'm going to be doing more videos and doing live. Like I said, I'm going to be recording videos off my cell phone, unfortunately, for a while until I figure out my recording issues from the computer. Until I can figure out how OBS operates. Okay. I am really not that tech savvy, you know. I am not hip. I am not cool. I am old, you know. It's like, I'm old. That's not true. Shell is older than I am, and he is more tech savvy than I am, you know. And he is way more tech savvy than I am. But I have another friend who's older than me. He's also very tech savvy, and he's helped me with my computer stuff too, you know. Yeah, I'm not going to mention his name to protect his to ensure his privacy, but who knows? Maybe we'll get him in the stream too. You know, at one point, a collab at one point or another. I love doing collabs for this reason, because you don't see the time passing by. We find things to talk about. You know, and engage with you, the viewers, because this is what this is all about, right? This is what this is all about. You, the viewers. Yeah, exactly. So for right now, I am going to jump off this stream because I'm tired and I need to eat something myself before I wither away. And you are all, like I said, Hearts Love, you are a champ. Yes, he does. He has a lot more great stories. We'll, yeah, Sheldon will hold court. He'll be back to hold court most definitely. And I hope to have others on with me as well. I'll keep you all up to date about the debate thing, whether it's with Mr. Alan Roberts or the filmmaker who asked me to do a podcast with them. I'll keep you all up to date, but the communication honestly has been abysmal at best. So I'm not really holding out much hope, but I'll keep you all updated. And what else? Like I said, I have no idea what I'm going to upload next. Like I said, I have to solve my recording problem. I may be recording videos off my phone for a while, and maybe while the weather is still nice, I'll shoot some videos outside, just so you all have a change of scenery from this dark living room. Maybe from a park in the area, far from the construction at the shopping center a block away. Because we don't want, I don't know about you, but I don't think we want any construction ASMR, do we? No, we don't want any. We call it destruction here in Montreal because everything in Montreal always under construction. Always, always, always. So yeah, no construction ASMR. So I'm going to jump off this stream, like I said, because I am tired. I need to eat before I wither away. But you all rock. You're all awesome. Everybody who came in here, and thank you again, Hearts Love and Supernova and my other mods. You are all great. You all do a great job here. All great friends of the channel. So yeah, please take care of yourselves and each other. And always remember, if there is somebody vulnerable in your midst, please remember to take the time to look in on them. And because it can make all the difference in their life. Share a coffee with them, share a meal with them. Just lend a sympathetic ear. You'd be surprised at the difference you can make in someone's life that way. And what else? Like I said, I will have the in the editing process. I'm going to have it all times. I'm going to try and do my best to have everything time stamped. So you just jump into what you want to hear and skip what you don't want to hear. Yeah. Yeah, great. So I'll keep you up to date. I love you all. You all rock. So straight talking floor, check over and out, and good night, everybody. Good night.